Kalau tengok UFC ke, boxing ke, katakan Mike Tyson is your opponent. Tahu kan Mike Tyson? Kalau Mike Tyson is in the ring, we go in and probably last one round. It won't even make you last one round. 1 second, you're out because you're not prepared. Your Mike Tyson is the world champion. He is known for his knockout blows. You cannot go in. You must prepare yourself to that level. What is the strategy against Mike Tyson? So how you going? What is the strategy? You going to tire him out? The upper coming kick like crazy, Kan? Maksud saya macam itu lah. Kalau kita, so bila katakan, Chairman somebody asks you to do one, you must take 2 steps ahead on certain things. And every time you give the 2 steps ahead, kan, your bosses will notice. Ask him to do it by giving extra. Always give extra, and then it delivers on time. So that kind of thing. Ini yang mereka yang ada di cara maya dengan kita pun. Ini saya bercakap untuk semua lah. Saya bersara next year lah. I think all of you know by October. So I'm trying to use this time. If I can develop, at least get my thinking across, develop you. My job is done lah. My job is not to for me to retire and there's nobody to take over. So why am I focusing on young? Because you've got many more years to go. So if you start right from the very beginning, get noticed from the very beginning. You need to show who you are from the very beginning. Jangan saya tengok kamu sebut nama lah, katakan A. Kalau A ini memang lambat. Kalau hari ini lepas 3 hari. Things like that lah, Do your best means, and then don't be afraid. You need to communicate. In this, one of the way to move forward is you must express yourself. Express yourself. Jangan takut kita nobody. What is the worst thing that happen? Daripada you diam tu macam when you keep quiet, people start to brand you. Brand you. Sebab saya tak tahu mana, saya tak tahu how is who's a win or I don't know. I haven't heard his voice. When the bird starts singing very beautifully, people know that bird sound very nice. So they want. So kalau orang akan cari burung tu tak, yang tak merdu tu dia buang, yang merdu saja dia. So nak bagi you biasa dengan bertemu dengan SUB ke PKSU ke KSU ke Bilik Mesyuarat KSU pun ada pun tak takut, cakap saja. Jangan KSU sampai kita kalau menteri lagi lah. Kadang kita pun tak, kalau menteri ini biasanya tak ada peluang lah. Orang yang besar-besar yang akan cakap, tapi we also can at the end there or in between anybody quiet, then you take and just stop. So this is the reason for you to express your ideas. So hopefully the SUBs yang hadir pada hari ini, bagilah seberapa banyak peluang yang boleh untuk mereka hadir meeting seorang. Buang dia dalam laut, pergi berenang. Either you swim or you drown. I'm sure you want to go far, right? You want to remain at 41 or not? All the way. No, can? Then, and you are all climbing up the pyramid. Oh, you're the shortest. You're the shortest. But I'm sure you want to climb as high as possible, higher than what Alvin can do. It's tall. So, kan saya betul, saya cuma itu saja. Saya sebab quality, we must always push for the best quality of work. Always do your best. From here I can see also your initiative. Saya tengok masa lunch hour do your papers lah. When to look at it, start to have perception about each of you. So, ada orang buat pasal ada ekspor rubber gloves to Brazil, ada something different. So some are right. So who's going to start first?
Jadi MC itu.
Why you? Huh?
MC ada.
Siapa?
MC, to go first.
What's your name?
MC. Analis.
Oh, MC. Oh, okay, ada MC pula. Jangan jual pantun sudah lah. Oh, okay. Semua pandai jual.
Berbahagia Datuk Rabi saya, Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian Perusahaan Peradangan dan Komoditi, Setiausaha bahagian, Ketua-Ketua Unit, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang dihormati sekalian. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera dan selamat petang. Majlis mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Yang Berbahagia Datuk, tuan-puan kerana sudi meluangkan masa untuk perkongsian ilmu pembentangan tugasan bertulis, written assignment, pegawai takbir dan diplomatik M41, lantikan tahun 2020 pada hari ini yang diadakan secara maya. Hadirin sekalian, Kementerian ini telah menerima seramai 6 orang pegawai PTD lantikan baharu tahun 2020. Kesemua pegawai ini telah ditempatkan di KPPK sejak 23 November 2020. Sebagaimana hasrat Yang Berbahagia Datuk KSU untuk melatih pegawai-pegawai berkenaan bagi membolehkan mereka memperoleh pengetahuan dan kemahiran khususnya dalam bidang agri komoditi, bahagian ini telah mengambil inisiatif menyediakan tugasan bertulis, written assignment untuk dilaksanakan oleh semua pegawai PTD lantikan baharu tahun 2020. Fokus utama atau tema tugasan adalah menjurus kepada isu berkaitan di penempatan pegawai dan isu semasa berkaitan operasi dan penyampaian perkhidmatan kementerian. Pembentangan yang diadakan pada hari ini adalah berkaitan dengan hasil tugasan yang telah dilaksanakan ke-6 pegawai ini. Baiklah hadirin sekalian, sebelum memulakan dengan acara yang seterusnya, izinkan saya menerangkan tata cara pengendalian sesi secara maya melalui aplikasi Zoom ini. Saya ingin memohon kerjasama semua yang hadir agar dapat letakkan mikrofon masing-masing dalam mode mute bagi mengelakkan gangguan audio, terutama ketika terdapat mana-mana pembentang atau pegawai yang sedang bercakap pada satu-satu masa. Sekiranya terdapat pegawai yang ingin bercakap, tuan-puan boleh aktifkan mikrofon tuan-puan. Setelah habis bercakap, tuan-puan perlu meletakkan semula mikrofon masing-masing dalam mode mute. Kerjasama dan jasa baik hadirin sekalian untuk mematuhi tata cara ini adalah amat dihargai. Baiklah hadirin sekalian, majlis diteruskan lagi dengan sesi pembentangan oleh pegawai. Sebelum itu, izinkan saya menerangkan serba sedikit kaedah bagi sesi pembentangan ini. Setiap pembentangan diberikan masa selama 15 minit untuk sesi pembentangan dan diikuti dengan sesi soal jawab. Loceng akan dibunyikan pada minit ke-15 untuk menandakan masa pembentangan telah tamat. Okay, pembentangan ini akan dinilai oleh panel yang terdiri daripada Yang Berbahagia Datuk KSU dan semua SUB dan KU. Penilaian dan pemarkahan akan mengambil kira aspek kelancaran, isi kandungan dan kekemasan. Okey, baiklah. Hadirin sekalian, tanpa melengahkan masa, majlis dengan sukacitanya menjemput pembentang pertama iaitu Encik Elvin untuk membentangkan hasil tugasan beliau. Majlis yang hormatnya silakan.
Kalau berdiri, mic.
Akan mic.
Shall I start? Right. Thank you, Puan Ananis. Hello and a very good afternoon to everyone, especially to Dr. Ravi, and also those that are present here today and also those that are present online. Right. Okay. All right. So today I'm going to present essentially my write-up, which is titled "Factors Affecting the Development of Downstream Sector of the Palm Oil Industry." First of all, my name is Alvin, and in KPPK, I'm actually in BIS, and specifically under the trade unit. So before I start, I guess I'll just give a bit of an overview of what my presentation will entail. First, I will give a bit of a background of our palm oil industry, and then I will follow by my problem statement with regards to the slow growth of the palm oil industry. And subsequently, I will talk a little bit on the analysis that I did to address the problem statement. And finally, I will talk about the two strategies that I proposed, which I hope could be used to mitigate the issues addressed. Now, to start things off, next slide. Oh, sorry. So the oil palm, or the plant oil palm, was first brought to Malaysia by British in the 1917 as an ornamental plant. And over the years, it has actually evolved quite tremendously into a big industry. And in fact, today, palm oil is actually one of, if not the biggest commodity in Malaysia. Now, globally, the palm oil, which is the oil derived from the oil palm, is actually the world's most consumed vegetable oil. It contributes about 30% of the world's vegetable oil supply. And as with many industries, the palm oil industry is divided into two segments, mainly divided into two segments, which is the upstream segment and the downstream segments. Although, yes, we know we have the midstream segment as well, but for the purpose of this presentation, I will be talking about the upstream segment, which comprises of the cultivation of the what we call the fresh fruit bunch, or the fruit of the oil palm tree, to produce, and also palm oil, which is essentially crude palm oil and palm kernel oil. Although they are technically part of the midstream segment, but we still mainly consider them as upstream products, as if you look at our GDP contribution from the palm oil industry, we separate that into two main segments, which is the upstream, which is our crude palm oil, and the downstream, which are all the value-added palm oil derivatives and all those finished or final products. Now, okay, so it is undeniable that the palm oil industry has generated so much profit for the country. However, yearly data showed that the profits made from the downstream segment or sector is not nearly as high as the upstream sector. Ideally, the downstream sector could actually generate income more, or income which is equal to, if not higher than, the upstream sector. But in reality, only about 22 to 24% of the GDP contributed by the palm oil industry are from the downstream sector, compared to the 76 to 78% of which came from the upstream sector. In terms of export value, most of our palm oil products are are still largely in the upstream part of our industry rather than the downstream part. For example, in last year, 68% of our export value actually came from the upstream sector, which are again the CPO, the crude palm oil and crude palm kernel oil, mainly all the oils. And on the other hand, the annual, if you look at the GDP of agri-commodity-based activities, the annual GDP contributed by the downstream sector in other commodities, on the other hand, are either close to or more than the annual GDP contributed by the upstream sector. This table is just to show how, first of all, in terms of our palm oil industry, you can see how the contribution, the GDP contribution is more towards the upstream-based activities. You can see in 2019, 38 million of the upstream of the GDP contribution came from, for palm oil, came from the upstream, as opposed to the 11 million, about 11 million from the downstream-based activities. But if you look at the other commodities, you can clearly see how the contribution, the GDP contribution, are quite a bit more balanced, or even the GDP contribution by their downstream based activities contributed more than the upstream segment. And in order to, because these are the issues, and this is the issue, and this we can consider this as a gap that we need to overcome. And in order to overcome these gaps, we actually need to find out the causes or factors that have led to the slow growth of the downstream sector. Why does our downstream are not contributing as much as the upstream sector? So, and that is why I've chosen the Ishikawa method to, actually one of the best way to identify the causal factors that have led to the effect, which is in this case the issue that we have, which is the slow downstream growth. So from this analysis, I identified 4 factors. The first one being the upstream favoring policies. Second one being investment. Third one is traceability. And the last one is technological adoption. So in terms of upstream favoring policies, why did I term it as such? Because now we know that we have actually taken a firm stand on protecting our environment by capping our total planted area for palm oil at 6.5 million hectares. However, despite the effort to limit the expansion of our cultivated land, our policies are still heavily focused on the upstream sector. And that is, research and investments are mostly on things such as cultivating better seeds, researching about how to better plant our palm oil, oil palm, automation and mechanization in plantations, etc. And tax waivers or tax exemptions are sometimes given depending on the supply and demand requirement, which also benefit the industry players that export crude products. Now, these tax exemptions is one of many examples how we are focusing heavily on the upstream segments of our palm oil industry. Now, the second one is investment. The way I'm going to elaborate on this is by taking a few examples and show how it is quite prevalent. For example, in terms of investment, MPOB has been utilizing the cess collection to fund the industry upstream and downstream research and related projects, which include agronomy research and oil palm cultivation. When we look at the programs currently embarked by our ministry and also, for example, MPOB, if we look through the list of the programs and projects, they are mostly, again, still in the upstream part of the industry. We look at research in cultivation and automation and mechanization. And another example, a good example, I think, would be our the MARCOP program, which is the again mechanization and automation. The fund that is channeled to the program is a good program, but it's still an example of how we are focusing on the upstream segment. And the third one is the another thing that seems to be a bit lacking is actually a database or a consolidation of data of downstream products and the companies that are doing the production of downstream products. Now, this can be an issue if we do not have a proper database to keep track of the companies and players that do all this downstream processing, because if we do not have this data, it is hard for us to come up with a good strategy or better policy to improve on our downstream segments. And the last one, that issue that I identified, is technological adoption. Now, with technological adoption, MPOB has to date unveiled about 675 technologies and 675 technologies. But in terms of technology commercialization, MPOB has only recorded an achievement rate of about 30%. So again, we have all these technologies and findings, research findings, but yet we are still not able to fully maximize in terms of commercializing these technologies. And because of that, I have actually proposed in my essay to propose two strategies that I hope can be is able to mitigate some of the issues faced by the industry. The first one being to conduct a full-fledged study on the past investments, programs or initiatives by the government. And the second one is to embark on an extensive promotional programs following the findings of the study in the first one, to encourage investments and technology adoption in the downstream sector. And so for the first strategy, it can be something like what we are currently doing with our palm oil tax structure, which is we are trying to restructure our tax. But in terms of downstream, maybe we can do something like a field study conducted by a professional or a consultant to find out all the issues related to past initiatives that might have failed to grow the downstream sector. And of course, following the findings from the study, we can then better we can come up with a better strategy, promotional strategy and then embark on an extensive promotions programs to actually encourage and support the downstream sector. So, in conclusion, a full-fledged study will enable policymakers to establish better incentives, policies, and programs that will help the downstream sector. And in the long term, it is hoped that that more investments, along with technological adoption and commercialization by the industry players, will help intensify and sustain our downstream sector. And with that, I thank you.
Okay, terima kasih kepada Encik Edifat di atas pembentangan yang telah diberikan sebentar tadi. Okay, seterusnya majlis diteruskan dengan sesi soal jawab oleh panel atau hadirin. Jadi persilakan Bahagia Datuk, tuan-puan untuk bertanya sebarang soalan kepada pembentang.
Saya nak galakkan. Okey, ada sini tanya. Nanti kita bagi peluang kepada yang lain. You guys ask him. Just to see whether you were listening. I know you're focusing on your good presentation, but you should. Did you follow what he was talking? Tell me honestly, or were you more concerned with your own presentation? Right. So itulah. So I think sometimes in the meeting, never expect questions thrown to you. What do you view on this? You are not paying attention. And so a lot of unexpected things will happen in civil service. Doesn't mean it's not an area miss. Kadang-kadang tanya, tiba-tiba KSN tanya, Ravi, what do you think about this thing? Kita pun tak ikut, kita pun katakanlah. Sorry, can you repeat that? The meeting will not listen. Right? So, okay, any comments? Anybody want to? So this caught you by surprise, right? Caught you by surprise. You were listening.
Yeah. We actually discussed about this.
Okay. What is it?
Yeah.
We discussed before lah.
We talked about this before.
Okay. Siapa nak comment? Anybody want to comment? I have a lot of comments, but I want to hear from others. 5 minutes saja. 5 minutes ke? 10 minutes ada kan?
Ada nak tanya.
Apa? Dr. Sang, yes, apa dia? Angkat tangan. Itu doktor tu. Doktor, jangan main-main.
Okay, thank you, Dato'. First of all, congratulations to the presenter. I think it's quite a brave presentation by our young officer just now. I just would like to give some opinion for him to improve in terms of his presentation just now. First of all is that when he mentioned about the problem statement that the downstream is the downstream contribution is actually more than the upstream, but the priority was given more to the upstream. But then all of a sudden we jump to the fishbone method, which suddenly come out with the 4 factors. And I think before you derive to that factors, I think you need to explain more how you came into conclusion that are the 4 factors that will be affecting based on your topic just now. In terms of so I think in that sense the link is missing, because all of a sudden we will hear that you mentioning some of the data between upstream and downstream, then suddenly you show the fishbone methods, and we do not know how you come into conclusion that 4 factors is the most significant factors that affecting the issue that you raised just now. Okay, so I think in that sense, if you improve a bit, that would be much better, so that all of us can understand how you get into that conclusion. And also, when you suddenly mention one of the factors, which is the technology adoptions, so I tend to disagree with you, because I would say that actually technology adoption in the downstream is actually far more faster and more widely adopted as compared to the upstream sectors. So if you go to a lot of the processing, either it's the mills or the refinery or the oleochemical plants, you can see actually the technology adoption in the downstream sectors is much higher than what happened in the upstream sectors. So in that sense, I think when you say the slow downstream growth, one of the factors is the low technology adoption. I think that does not really correlate with your what was actually the reality on the ground. When you trying to compare or you use the example of the MPOB whereby they have invented about 765 technology, and with the uptake of commercialization about 30%, I think that is altogether a different issue, not affect your title today. Because you need to understand, the industry players is not meant that they must adopt all the technology that invented by MPOB, because some of the technology out there is also invented by other people. So some of the downstream industry, they are actually adopting technology, but not the technology invented by MPOB. So this is altogether a different issue. If you want to look into why it's only 30% uptake of the technology adoption invented by MPOB, that is altogether a different issue. So that constitute that probably one of you can look into why this happened, and that doesn't mean that the industry does not adopt the technology. They really do adopt the technology, but not necessarily the technology must be from MPOB. Yeah, so I think technology adoption probably is not one of the good factors for you to correlate with the problem statement. Yeah, so I think.
Thank you, Dr. So probably we ask, Alvin, you want to respond ke? Cuba respon sikit saja.
Oh.
Walaupun soalan panjang.
Okay, I agree with you actually with the commercialization. It might not fit specifically under the technological adoption part of my analysis. Actually, I guess I didn't really get to elaborate much on the technological adoption. But when I say that we do not adopt enough technology into the downstream sector, I do not mean that how to say this, not many players are adopting the technologies. What I mean is it's not really a big thing until it can show some result in our revenues generation. That answered the question. Sorry.
Okay, I think that's all from me. I think anyway, congratulations, Alvin. I think this is quite a good topic. If you really have a plan in the future to do your postgraduate, I think your topic itself is quite a good topic for you to pursue on that. And if you really need some help in terms of to firm up this topic, I think my door is always open for you to come over and discuss. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dato'.
Professor, thank you. Okay. So maybe let me comment. Yeah. First of all, when you want to present something, the title itself, I know what you want to say, that the downstream sector has been growing at a much slower rate as compared to the upstream, and these are the factors that is contributing towards that. Right? That's what we want to say. So you want to catch your attention of the audience. You don't say factors affecting the thing. No. Is the growth of downstream is due to the policy that overemphasize upstream? You see that? You see or not? So itu jangan tulis faktor-faktor ini macam kita ni, the level need to go up. Understand? Whatever you say, the level need to be high. Imagine, always say that you're presenting to the Prime Minister and he has limited time and you only have 5 slides. What do you put in? You must always think like that. Sometimes having a lot of slides, and you say next. Saja. Too many slides and you have no time. You say next. Lepas tu, daripada 30 tu, 10, 20, 15 tu next. You hope they have read lah. So better you take 5 and focus on it, and try to get the attention. Alright, so itu satu. And your analysis, I agree with Dr. Sam. It's not evidence-based lah. Ada yang menyokong. See, when you say the upstream favoring industry policy, what is it that points towards that? You can say in terms of allocation. There's no downstream policies. Mostly policies also are very skewed for upstream strategies. So you must show some proof. Bila cakap sesuatu mesti ada evidence. So it's evidence-based, that people believe. And then also, why the downstream is growing slowly? Because by selling the produce, you make immediate sale and you make immediate profit. There's no inventory required for a long time. As you go downstream, bila na value add to, it doesn't simply, a product doesn't simply becomes high value added. You need to invest. Each level you go is a different level of investment. The higher value addition you need, the higher the investment you need, right? And also, as I mentioned before, they already have established big players there. We have done enough promotion, we've spent billions of dollars creating the brand. How do you want to penetrate? And you have to keep stock. You have to look for the distributive channel. But you need to find the market, specific market, to bring your people to bring your product on the global supply chain. So, banyak boleh tengok. And then because our players itself are very risk averse, our investors are very risk averse. So they always focus on the midstream and CPO jual macam yalah, baik kita jual durian daripada katakan buat jual durian okey lah, kalau jual di ladang dia orang tengah lain, tapi bila you proses dia jadi durian ice cream, so tapi orang tak kenal produk you. Kalau minyak ni orang beli saja sebagai bahan mentah, faham? Kalau produk tu you already start packaging, you need to do a lot of differentiation tau. When you're up there, you don't need to spend a lot on differentiation. When you're down there, you do a lot of differentiation. And then never ever say that you need to do further study. You dah cakap semua tu dah. Tapi lepas tu kata need a comprehensive study. That one all no, you must act as though you are giving the whole PM. You go to PM, just say we have to do another study. Kan? Might as well say it from the beginning. I bet you need to do another study, that study, rather than you give all the thing and suddenly you say you need to do it. That one, so you must know lah. That one don't do. Jangan sekali-sekala bila kita minta apa-apa cadangan tu, kita need to do another study. But however, there are gaps and information that we need to strengthen my research, and that will require further research. Don't say further study. But overall, I want to say your presentation is, your command of proficiency in English is good. So you have that composure, present. So I want all these fellows, bila ada mana-mana nak buat pembentangan, masukkan dia. Di mana-mana conference seminar nak bentang dengan budak-budak universiti itu, masukkan. Right? That's how you will develop, I'm telling you. I'm going to talk big lah. Mine after the first year, I went to present Commonwealth Tax Association, all the African, British, Commonwealth countries, you need to present, the Indians, all those buggers are, so macam mana? So, but it takes a lot of preparation, whether they represent my part and their part. So kita kena, jangan takut. Biar kita lalui dengan mulut kita sweat ke apa ke, semua tu kena keluar dulu. The sweat and the blood must come out first. All the toxic must come out, then only you can think clearly. So kalau saya pun terfikir kita bagi peluang, kita adakan dengan untuk universiti-universiti ke hantar dia orang. After clearance from the SUB lah, I don't want to be embarrassed. So MPIC officers cannot present well. So tak apa. That's why I said, did you give your best or not? You could have done better, probably. But you need to think. You need to. What is it? The extra thing you need to do is always try to see. Is it just that the policy, the invest technology adoption? You cannot get a bit to push yourself to think further than this. Is this the reason? Or there are some other subjective reasons that makes investors to fear to go into that part of it. Kita kena cuba selalu fikirkan lebih, go beyond it. Is it just sometimes most of us look at the obvious, where everybody knows. You just say the obvious. Kalau you say the obvious, one Asmari will win also know already. Everybody knows already. So when you tell something, PM also know already. It's an obvious thing. You don't have to tell PM the obvious thing. But what is it that you think that people have not seen? Itu yang akan memberi value to the presentation. So I've never seen this from this angle or this perspective, and you have proof to show that what you say is true. So itu kena ada evidence tu. Apa boleh cakap, kena buat research tu.
That means we need to be creative and innovative.
Dia kena
Recommendation have to be.
never stop. Don't waste time explaining the obvious. Understand? You know what I mean? Don't waste time explaining the obvious. That one people know. Explain the thing that you want to say that people don't know. Itu then give the value. All of you, siapa-siapa yang dengar ni lah. Baru dia nampak lah. Bila saya bentang pun saya akan cari itu apa. Saya akan cari itu. That was what people looking for, something that they've never thought of, but never seen it from that particular angle that you want to bring to them. Obvious what tak payah cakap lah. Industry expert, you go tell them. The only thing you have the privilege of having the numbers only lah. Oh, macam MPOB, they have the privilege of having the numbers, so they can report lah. So nobody has the number. Itu dia saja. But once you put the website, you repeat that one, not much of value. Right? So anyway, ada saya cakap banyak lah. But what we mean is, take this lah. Saya ingat lagi mas, when I was industrial design, I used to study and read and then get the counterpart from UK patent office, get their views, and then put it together and then present to lawyers. Present to lawyers things that they cannot see how it comes from that side of the story. Baru orang nampak. You must sell yourself, that you are good, Right? So saya pun dah bagi markah. Dengan nama saya sudah ada. Okay, thank you, Alvin. So numbers will help, and numbers will show that you've done your research. Alright, terima kasih Puan pengacara majlis.
Analis.
Apa nak kata?
Anis.
Anis
Ya.
Itu batch apa? 41?
Dia pegawai psikologi.
Kalau psikologi.
Itulah saya nak jumpa you. 44 ke? Lepas ni 41 senior pula akan bentang. Jangan ingat dia terlepas. I'm adding pressure by getting our juniors to present. That means you better present better than them. Semua orang akan dengar, semua peringkat. Semua orang saya nak dengar suara you orang cakap. Boleh cakap kan? Dengan kawan-kawan boleh cakap kan? So speak. Okay. Okay.
Alright.
Thank you.
Terima kasih bagi Datuk Rabi. Okay, seterusnya majlis diteruskan untuk sesi pembentangan kedua. Hari ini saya menjemput Encik Amirul Zumairi bin Ahmad untuk membentangkan hasil tugasan beliau. Majlis yang hormatnya mempersilakan.
Islamic study.
Yes. I'm
Orang yang Islamic tadi mungkin lagi bagus. Okay, buat.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to Datuk Rabi, our KSU, all SUV, Urustil, warga MPSC and new officers, and my fellow friends. Okay, I would like to address some special thanks to KDK because providing some space, collaboration and input. And then I would like to apologize because of this session will be mixed on bahasa Melayu, bahasa Malaysia, sorry. Because of my
Bahasa Melayu betul lah.
political
Bahasa Malaysia tak ada. Sekarang ni bahasa Melayu. Mana ada bahasa Malaysia? Apa bahasa Malaysia?
Okay, my name is Amirul Zumairi bin Ahmad. I would like to present about Pelan Induk Pembangunan Kenaf dan by KPMG, review on the marketing and the business model. So another fact, when I study about KPMG, I found that our Datuk KSU in 2015 was one of the jawatan kuasa penilai on this project.
Ya.
Dekat IPM dulu. So
Dia buat di sini. Saya wakil.
okay, the abstract major focus on this project analysis was to help the tobacco farmers after the framework convention on tobacco control (FCTC) was imposed. Is indirectly impact our tobacco industry. So under MPSC, government hope that Kenaf will gain and grow one of our commodity. So this study also on the upstream, midstream and downstream, but I see that the focus of the KPMG was to build or penetrate the global market. The first problem statement is basically we need to make the Kenaf popular among our local industry. So by February 2021, we already have 20 rakan industri Kenaf. So the first is focus was on how Kenaf can be one of our commodity and the percentage will be inclined. The second, we need to determine one of two sector of product that can contribute to our daily, weekly or yearly basis. And the third, the Kenaf actually can replace the oil and the timber product, but for now we still don't have the technology to impose. And then the fourth problem is, unlike others, our business model was nurtured by the government itself. So I made some comparative with other nations. Okay, two of the countries, Thailand and Indonesia, was our neighbor, and Mexico ada Latin America. So the reason why I choose this country because the model was a general model that have been used in other countries, but Indonesia is one of the special because it gets sourced from the government. So even Thailand and Indonesia have the same group, same investor, Lenzing Group, but I think their model was different. In Thailand, the company of the technology, Tencent Lyocell, their focus was on the government. So the company was invest in the fiber industry, but in Indonesia, the Lenzing Group become the SPV, Special Purposes Vehicle, to help the country on the government and textile sector. And about the Mexico, I think I can say that BMW hired the Mexico to plant the fiber because of unlike Honda, if we compare with Honda their technologies, internal combustion was already fuel saving, so they doesn't have any problem if they put the very heavy material on the car. But the BMW, they integrate with the fiber industry to put some of the light material but with a strong resistance on their car. So if we can compare with Malaysia, so Malaysia the most car is fuel saving because of the light material and doesn't strong. That's why you can see when the accident our car is easily crash.
Kalau bulldozer kita pakai apa? Berat-berat pun boleh ya. Isi sajalah semua. So quite interesting the kind of way it's looking at efficiency and material.
Okay, this is the SWOT analysis. The focus was on the Malaysia. So first we look on the two part. The first one is the weakness and the threat. So I can say I will based on this technology that using enough. If we can measure on a ticket tape, maybe start from 0 to 0.5 to 0.4 to 0.3, and then it go again to 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So it doesn't go to higher or peak level. Was very impressive. This is because of our limited knowledge, market study, and innovative product. Our threat is if we can make the new product, but we think we can have the profit on selling the IP, intellectual properties, but maybe people can easily replicate our new product. And if for this thing, I was focused on if we can make some biodegradable plastic. I think there will be some safety issues on the plastic itself. So, but our strength, the current technologies and the research institute, we also have the past product. So I think our development are not starting from zero. And then we have the opportunity to venture with other ministries. So we have the act of the LKTN and also the power of the Director Board itself, I think was enough to support our new venture. So this is my current situation and way forward, the strategies. So the first strategy is to build the local market. For now, because the KPMG target 2025 to have the 350 million, but now we have not more than 10 million with the 20 rekan industry enough. But basically we have the ready system in the support and the maintenance, and it means that the technology was there on the upstream and the midstream. So secondly, for now, LKTN will be venture with the Kerajaan Negeri to build the IBS model. But the first model was want to build it on the kawasan Kelantan and Terengganu. They don't target to all Malaysia. After I meet my SUB, he said, why not we try to target to all Malaysia? But the first challenges we will face is because we don't have any infrastructure in the Sabah and Sarawak. But
I'm sure no roads there. No roads in Sabah and Sarawak.
Road tak ada, tapi
no infrastructure in Sabah and Sarawak.
I mean the LKTN macam HQ, pejabat and so on. So
specific lah, masih for the enough industry, we lack the infrastructure, lack the facility here, processing facility or land that is being allocated for planting. So, okay, don't say no infrastructure in Sabah. Itu ada airport kan, ada kan? Ada flight kita ada kan? So don't say apa, okay lah.
Okay, but our new current with IoT, Internet of Things and IR 4.0, if we don't have the office and facilities for the management, I think we can have the virtual office. We can make the joint venture with the Kerajaan Negeri and use the current logistic. Because the main problem I think is to supply the seed. But tapi bila kita nak supply seed ke sana, kita dah sedia ada macam untuk fasiliti yang lain, macam untuk padi, untuk tanaman-tanaman lain, benda-benda itu kita ada. Kita cuma ada berbeza produk saja. Maybe we can invest or try to joint venture or we look how the benih boleh selamat berada di sana dan hiduplah kalau ditanam. So the only thing maybe we can bring to Sabah the IBS technology that they want based in the Kelantan and Terengganu. So rather than we, in my opinion, rather than we go to the new penjawatan, I think LKTN itself can schedule pegawai penguatkuasa or pegawai perancang ekonomi to go there about 3 months and come back here, and we can schedule the other pegawai penguatkuasa to implement this strategy. So another opportunity also was the MINDEF because of I got some input with my friends from the defense. They said most of the facility in the remote area, like the post keselamatan yang berada kat Pengeran and luar, because of the susah kita nak transfer things to there, so infrastructure kat sana agak teruk lah, which is diorang the post, the pejabat yang nak jaga pengairan apa semua ni kadang-kadang dia macam rosak, tak diselenggara dan memerlukan harga yang mahal. So with the IBS, I think I will focus on I will elaborate more how we can build a new this building, the facilities. So the second strategy, we now have the research on the fiber industry by FIDEC, which focus on the construction segment. The way forward, maybe we can also need to focus on the business management. We can have the collaboration with the University Malaysia Kelantan, UMK, because of their vision, entrepreneurship is their trust. So by this research in the long term, they can provide a data lake. So this data will show on which sector is heavily used and which are non-active. So we can make some comparison and further studies there after that. And the third strategy is our business model and commercialization. So we already had the 20 rakan industri genap, but they are independent and serve business and marketing model to overcome our problem on high cost labor. So I choose the IKEA model because IKEA, they doesn't have the facility to build the product. They just hired some other company and factory, but they cut costs on the labor with the flat packing. If we go to IKEA, we can see all the flat packing with the small. So they can transport the packaging on the high volume, but with the same prices. So let's say there are 10 things, 10 perabot yang kita boleh hantar dalam RM10, tapi harga transport tu RM10, tapi IKEA dia buat macam okay, kita boleh hantar 100 perabot dengan harga yang sama, RM10 because of the flat packing. So I think maybe in the remote area, maybe we can, in the IBS, the housing and so on, maybe we can ask the MINDEF or the officers to come with us and we teach them how to assemble the pejabat, new pejabat or facilities in the remote area with the IBS Kenaf. So and then because of lack of the new, because we focus, we rely on the FIDEC and our current institute, maybe we can use the Bill Gates model, because the Bill Gates always funding some of the simple competition to find a new product, and then he will work out and figure out how this product can be cheap as possible and be easily to transport to anywhere. So in the first, maybe we can try to open to the, we can put the stages, novice, intermediate and advanced. And then the winner, maybe we can give the benefit and profit to join a new business venture and so on. That's all from me. Thank you.
Terima kasih Encik Amirul di atas pembentangan yang diberikan sebentar tadi.
Lagi seminit.
Seminit lagi tinggal.
5 minutes.
5
more
minutes.
minutes.
1 more minute.
Apa nak comment? Anybody would like to give comments? Everybody definitely will not comment, I guess.
Tertahu.
No?
Itu salah.
Dr. San, short and brief, huh? I'll cut your points, sir.
Thank you, Dato'. Basically, on the presenter tu tadi dia mula-mula kata dia nak campur bahasa Inggeris dengan bahasa Melayu, tapi saya nampak macam bahasa Inggeris dia pun bagus juga. So actually saya nasihatkan mungkin dari mula-mula tu jangan kita terlalu low confident lah. Just sebab saya tengok you punya presentation dalam bahasa Inggeris pun saya consider bagus lah tu. So jadi saya harap you tak perlu rendah diri lah. Dari masa mula-mula you kata you nak mix dengan bahasa Malaysia dan sebagainya lah. Itu yang satu. Yang kedua, you mention pasal penggunaan kenaf dalam material untuk penggunaan kereta. You mention you relatekan bahawa material tu dengan weight, dengan berat kereta dan juga dengan internal combustion engine tu. Saya rasa saya cuba nak perbetulkan sedikit fakta. Sebenarnya pihak industri kenderaan ataupun industri otomotif ni bukannya sengaja nak memilih material based on the weight ataupun internal combustion ataupun tidak. Sebenarnya bukan drivetrain yang mempengaruhi pemilihan material, tapi saya cuma boleh share sedikit ialah kebanyakan material macam kenaf dan fiber sebagainya, the only place yang dia boleh replace ialah dia punya internal, bahagian dalaman kereta. Bila bahagian dalaman kereta seperti dashboard dan sebagainya daripada material plastik boleh ditukar ke bahagian menggunakan material sebagai fiber. Tapi cuma isu dia ialah kalau kita gunakan fiber ni nipis. Jadi biasanya dashboard kita memerlukan let's say dalam 5mm ataupun 2mm dia punya ketebalan plastik tu. Jadi fiber ni kita perlu lekat dengan gum ataupun sejenis chemical untuk layering. Dia punya layering. So bila kita layering and then after that kita kena tambah dengan skin sebab fiber daripada kenaf ataupun any other materials, dia punya skin tu dia tak cantik, dia tak smooth. Jadi dia perlu tambah satu skin, contohnya seperti melamin dan sebagainya lah, seperti yang MDF board dan sebagainya, dia kena tambah satu skin. Jadi kat situ berlakunya penggunaan gum dan chemical. Kalau kereta tu diletak di bawah sinaran matahari yang panas, gum tu akan menghasilkan gas-gas berbahaya dalam kenderaan. Sebab itu penggunaannya tak berapa sesuai dalam kenderaan. So kalau nak guna pun kita tak boleh guna the whole dashboard tu pakai daripada fibers. Walaupun memang dari segi ketahanan mungkin dia tak ada masalah, tapi masalah dari segi kita nak layering lapisan fiber tu untuk menjadi ketebalan yang diperlukan oleh kenderaan tersebut, dia melibatkan banyak penggunaan gum, gum dan glue dan sebagainya yang mana mengandungi bahan chemical yang banyak, dan sekiranya kenderaan ini diletakkan di bawah sinaran matahari yang panas, maka gas-gas berbahaya akan terkeluar daripada situ dan juga kemungkinan gum tu akan cair dan kadar pelekatan material tersebut akan tidak memenuhi spesifikasi yang diperlukan. Itu saja saya nak cuma share sedikit fakta tentang kenapa kurangnya digunakan dalam kenderaan. Terima kasih. Thank you. Thank you, Dato'.
Mr. Sam, Dr. Sam. Okay, lagi? Mana tadi nak cakap apa?
Terima kasih, Dato'.
Bantulah.
Okay, terima kasih, Dato'. Okay, soal kita tengok yang penting bila presentation tu ada sikit-sikit lah spelling mistake. Itu tak apalah itu. Tapi kalau untuk dibentangkan dalam peringkat high level, jangan ada lah macam tu. Okay, dan selain itu daripada segi topik tu sebenarnya saya confused bila kata overview of the business model plan induk pembangunan kenaf berkenaan model KPMG itu semua. Jadi bila masuk berkenaan dengan pembentangan tu sebenarnya saya tak ada slide. Cuba.
Go back to the title.
Okay, bila kita tengok macam problem statement misalnya model tu, sebab saya nak cuba linkkan dia antara sebenarnya apa yang nak bentang sebenarnya. Sebenarnya nak bentang pasal model kenaf ke ataupun kenaf produk tu sendiri ataupun apa dia. Jadi maksudnya kita kena fokus apa yang kita nak bentangkan. Sebab mula saya ingatkan nak bentangkan pasal model oleh KPMG. Lepas tu cerita problem statement pula adalah berkenaan dengan apakah proses tersebut. Jadi saya office mula tengok tu lah. Jadi lepas tu saya dah tak tahu benda. Sorry.
Jangan problem statement tu jangan banyak-banyak kalau nak fokus satu atau dua saja. Kalau empat tu itu the whole industry problem.
Fokus satu, lepas tu dari situ kita kembang apa yang kita nak tentukan, isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan itu, contohnya strength dia apa, weakness dia apa, semua tu. Jadi kalau sebut tadi opportunity berkaitan dengan akta, director board, KTN, sebenarnya benda tu tak berkaitan sebenarnya. Sebab benda tu memang dah ada dalam benda tu dah ada. Jadi benda tu bukanlah satu opportunity. Opportunity dalam dari segi aspek lain. Apakah peluang-peluang yang kita boleh dapatkan ataupun yang kita boleh ambil untuk macam mana kita nak tingkatkan ataupun kita nak keluarkan produk kenal tersebut. Sekali itu je lah.
Saya angkat tangan. Okay, thank you. Syamirul. I think you keep talking in English. You do better than the rest of them. Right? So, there's two ways. If you find that the command of English is not that good, write it down in a statement, like what you've done, piece of paper. Then get your friend to come help you. So you must take time, and then we can look at it and use and speak. It's not wrong for you to. Even I know some Zakia writes every. Zakia is last time used to be a macro director. So for important presentation, normally she will write what she going to say, because let me tell you, under you're presenting to PM, you go blur, you know. Sometimes you go blur, you know. At least with that thing, you just read as though you're talking naturally. That also helps. If your English is no good, not good, not say no good. I mean, it's not so polished up. I remember when I was doing JUSA course, we have one guy who cannot speak English. So we write for him. I say, you just read this one only. Bukan jangan bimbang, kau baca ni saja. Orang kata apa tak peduli lah. Kita kena bantu satu sama lain lah. Nobody could have helped. I hope we help lah. I do not know. But it is your assignment. You see, from here, you are quite smart fellow. You comment on something that's already there. Plan Indo Pembangunan Kerap tu dah ada lah, dia study tu. So tak payah cari sini cari sana. So ada dalam itu. Lepas tu you zoom into the marketing and business model, right? So it's a marketing and business model. So your problem statement must relate to marketing and business model. So, is the KNAF marketing business model is effective in the development of the value chain? Itu problem statement. Jangan how kena become popular. You dah mula masuk dia punya apa? Dia punya secara purba dia kan. What kind of product produce the kenal, daily basis, cancer, alternative. See, you already gone into. Probably we don't have DC, then you want to touch on everything lah. But we don't have time, so you focus. Your punya analysis by region, I think I mean it's good, but that is more on that model. It has the business model, how it is run in those particular countries, who are the players, stakeholders. Okay, we get a picture about it. Ini analysis ni, strength, weakness, and all that. I think we need to improve on that. We need to improve on it. One. Strength, upper weakness, upper opportunity, threat. This is what we have been taught. This is what we have been conditioned. Intan, Ichikawa dengan tulang ikan dia. Tak ada model lain ke? Tak apa. Create your own. It's a combination of few models. Not necessarily you must follow Ichikawa. Ishikawa ni, ishi tu batu, kawa tu sungai. Pada bahasa Jepun lah. Itu nama orang yang develop tu Ishikawa. Tapi semua orang ingat tulang ikan saja kan. Right. So this one you need to improve. Probably opportunity you can use that act as opportunity. You can say the act provides you the power to enforce these things to be utilized for the utilization of that particular sector, then it's fine. So you kena tarik keluar tu. So cara you board, director of board, I'm the director of the board. So how does that become opportunity? I masih tak dapat saya bayangkan lah. Sebab semua ada KSU dalam tu ke? Itu opportunity. The composition of the board. You have MITI, you have pertanian, you have MOF. So this gives you opportunity to sell that idea. So you must know how to bring that thing across lah. And then lepas tu, so initially you sounded, bila cakap tu nampak jelas, tapi bila masuk tu semua dah everywhere. So okay, cukuplah komen habis. So that's why. So let's say Andy, what do you want the PM to decide? Dia setuju gayu ke, you setuju gayu habis ke, macam tu macam mana? So you say so. What is it that what do you want me to do for you? Give you marks or what do you want me to do? So are you just proposing what? So dia macam henti lah. You kena buat satu conclusion lah. So the business model that we need to change business model and cakap lah why, then what kind of business model will best work for a new commodity. And the new commodity, as you know, it doesn't have the complete value chain. There's a lot of challenges. So we don't have that kind of value chain. We have that kind of value chain. You can analyze. Upstream kita ada, tapi apa yang boleh gunakan? You must do some research lah. You know what kenaf can be used for? Now, kenaf can also be used for bulletproof vests. You know that, no? Not everything lah, tiap masuk lah. Dia cuma 5% saja. Yang lain tu dia ada pakai apa dia? Fiberglass kan, fiberglass. You kena tahu lah sikit-sikit. So must do that's why I say you must do some research on that product and then quiz. Sedap dia. Orang tekan bunyi launching dari situ. So but see it's okay, it's a good attempt by you. So probably the creativity in presentation tu biar nampak. This one kalau everybody says SWOT, Minister PM tengok SWOT ni. Can you go to PM like this? Katakan you diberi peluang lah. Bulan terang kan. Bila bulan terang ni, kalau beri peluang tu lah, kena bersiap sedia. You must study. You handling kenal,
Yes.
Kenal. You must do a lot of research on kenal yourself. Buat lebih daripada apa yang kita tahu. You kena baca lebih other countries. Bangladesh ke, siapa lagi? China ke, what are the kenal? The Dr. Sang said they cannot use kenal in car. Can use kenal. The side walls are all kenal. But they are not purely kenaf lah. They are using some biocomposite to mix with kenaf fiber lah. In terms that kind of material lah that is heat resistant and heat tolerant. Right? So macam tu lah. Banyak. So only way to improve is kita ada guru kan, guru-guru sama lah. Dia akan bagi pandangan dan all of you also must always, you see, once you master the thing, anything you can do one. So bagus kalau Diorang tahu sedikit sebanyak macam mana nak get your mind structured when you want to address certain issue. Orang-orang PhD itu dia ada kelebihan. Dr. Sang, if you could help them in terms of telling them how to do a research, those were PhD ni, PhD macam Dr. Balkis lah, siapa lagi? Dr. Tila Rani, kan? Siapa? Dr. Tay, get these fellas how to do a research methodology. Ramai ada buat research kan? Pasal ijazah. Apa dia? Macam mana orang lulus? Bukan, maksud saya lah, pakailah itu research. Don't think about Intan lagi. Intan is just they give you the idea only, but research you can refine your research method, the methodology, how you see things. All that you put it, and then even see this one all is help you to. This one ini sebenarnya tak perlu masuk sini, faham? Itu semua itu apa panggil? Itu psychic lah, psychic bukan psychic. Those are just tools to help you to get your idea structured. But when you do your presentation, no need to put like this. Nampak macam budak universiti saja. You know what I'm saying? That these are the tools. You don't have to show you these are the tools that you use. Tengok cara Intan ni. These tools ni put here. Mesti bila you nak persembahkan satu masakan yang sedap tu, you pakai parang ke, you pakai sumbu itu besong ke, itu tak payah cakap. Faham? You cakap, ambil, ditumbuk, apa macam? Dihiris dan masuk dengan. Tak payah kata you ambil pisau, you hiris macam ni. Saya dapat keping macam ni. Dan you no need to show those tools. The tools I just help you only. But you don't have to put in the slide. I want your brains in here. Faham? Kalau tak dia jadi macam you know lah, the Intan way, I want to see what model. That one they do that because they want to help you to structure your thinking, how to use the tools, so that you understand why you use the tools to get the thing. Lah dia tengok proses tu, faham? Kita tak nak tengok proses. PM doesn't want to know SWOT. This Bichikawa and all that. He want to see your idea. Dia faham kan apa saya cakap tu kan? We already graduated from that level. Jangan besok nanti senior 41% saya tengok ni SWOT Bichikawa lagi ya. Ada banyak kan? Maksud saya macam tu lah. But that helps you to formulate your ideas and put it in the slide. See or not? So you see. So don't be conditioned. Don't allow your mind to be conditioned by Intan or anybody. Kalau tak macam tu lah, pikiran satu halal. Okay, thank you. Sorry, Ananis, for your time.
Terima kasih, Dok. Okey, seterusnya majlis ini menjemput Puan Nur Hidayah, Binti Wan Abdullah, sesi pembentangan ketiga.
Kenapa kau duduk sini? Dapat duduk lah. Joki ni ada slide. Amiro, you bina apa? Usuluddin juga?
Ya.
Kena confident lebih lah. Cakap kena confident. Pernah jual ubat tak? Pergi jual ubat. Betul. Ada orang dulu jual batu pada saya supaya RM100. Mana? Batu apa? Batu mukjizat. Batu ajaib. I paid $100 to do that. I'm telling you. Get the bug. so convincing. I don't mind telling you what I went through.
Paying for the skill lah tu. Bayar
Itulah.
for skill.
Kau ada itu kelebihan tu. Tapi jangan jual batu dengan Okay. Continue. Wah, ini banyak.
Colorful.
Alright. Next
Good
topic.
evening to Yang Berhormat Datuk Ravi, SUP and all the officers in the FPIC. Okay, the topic that I chose for the written assignment is lack of basic knowledge on government procurement procedure of other departments officers. Okay, what is procurement? Procurement is basically the act of obtaining goods or services that is needed. But now we're focusing on government procurement. Government procurement is the procurement of goods, services, and works on behalf of public authority, such as ministries and government agencies. So, government procurement is necessary because government cannot produce all the inputs and the raw materials for the goods that they're going to provide by government itself. Okay, now government procurement contains about there are various types of government procurement, such as direct purchase, quotation, tender, and direct negotiation. Okay, now proceed to the step required to conduct procurement. Okay, the process of procurement is differ based on the type and also the total amount of procurement. According to Treasury Circular PK 2.1 on government procurement method, agencies must ensure that all the procedures carried out must obey the rules set by Ministry of Finance. Because procurement procedure is bound by the rules that set by MOF through their Treasury Circular, which is Treasury Circular is the legal power to conduct the procurement. Okay, and the third one is, okay, now procurement is actually the core in financial management. Okay, for our information, also new for me, financial management provide pathway to attain goals and objective in organization. Okay, based on the report of PTD Alumni Internal Forum, which is on 7 October 2010, okay, PTD officers need to enhance their knowledge in finance management to avoid bad management of finance. The main pillars for organization management there are two. One is human resource and the other one is financial management. Okay, now, I'm sorry, Datuk. Okay. In order to ensure the ministries or agencies have proper management, the leader need to know how to manage the people and the financial wealth. So means that maybe I'm not a 41 grade 41 PTD, but later all of us will of course like you, Datuk, when you want to lead this ministry, you need to know everything, right? And especially how you want to manage the people, which is us, and also the financial. You are the pegawai pengawal, so you okay. The other one is PTD come and go. People come and go. So we know that in PTD we have 8 fields. Okay, sometimes now I'm in unit kewangan, but maybe later I will go to human resource, or maybe in the core of the ministry. So maybe later Zumairi will come to unit kewangan. So at least when they know the basic knowledge of the procurement and financial management, he can work efficiently. Even that was his first time in financial management. Okay, now we're going to the problem statement. Okay, as I mentioned before, government procurement need to be conducted by following exactly what has been stated in Treasury Circular, because that is the legal power for procurement. So, for example, the time needed to conduct a procurement need to be considered as how many stages of evaluation needed before the procurement being brought to the approving authority. And besides that, they also need to consider the workload at the procurement unit. Okay, so the main problem is other departments officers do not have the basic knowledge on the procurement procedure, which causes misunderstanding on the process and also the duration that they have been planned for the procurement. So what I want to analyze here is that we want to avoid this from happening. Means that they have planned, as for example, for 1 month for the procurement to be done, but actually the stage that needed to be done will need more than 1 month. So Dato', I use what here again? Okay, from SWOT analysis, we can find the strength, weakness, opportunity, and also the threat. Okay, the strength that can be found is that officers at procurement unit are well versed on the required procedures. Normally, we need to check the procedure of certain procurement because we have different type of procurement, and then we need to understand the process before we proceed with the procurement. Okay, there's a case where the circular is not stated clearly on the process, so we need to refer to the MOF officers and ask them how to do this procurement actually, so that we won't break any rules that are already being stated there. Okay. Next is the weakness. Okay, the weakness being found is that if the procurement does not follow the established procedure during audit, the officers that involved in the procurement, including the contract admin, will be questioned by audit officers. And if the reasons that we state is not reasonable for them, so the issue will be included in the report and will leave that image for our ministry. Okay, and for the opportunity, it can improve officers' understanding on the procurement procedure. It can also improve the efficiency in the working based on, it will work based on the original planning. Okay, the last one is the threat. Okay, the threat may happen if the rule is not being followed and the officer will be getting penalty and surcharge. It may also involve Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission, which is SPRM, if there is any embezzlement of money suspected. The next one is the strategy and initiative. I obtained the strategy and initiative based on task metrics from the previous SWOT analysis. Okay, the first one is by combining the strength opportunity and strength threat, we provide the briefing session about the basic of procurement procedure and process, time frame, and also possible risks that may happen. For this briefing, we can invite any experienced officers in finance and government procurement. We can also invite MOF officers from government procurement department that specialize in procurement policy making. The second initiative, which is combining the weakness, opportunity, and also the weakness threat, we can provide additional administrative order that require other departments to have discussion with procurement unit before preparing the proposal and approval paper. This way, we can include the possible delay that might happen in their timeline before they proceed with the approval paper. Okay. So the next one, I will proceed to the outcomes from these two initiatives that have been stated. Okay, there are two outcomes from the initiative. The first one is the audit process, and the second one is about the planning. Okay, the first one, the audit will become smooth and transparent, which means we don't have anything to hide from them, and we will become very transparent, and they are free to audit on us on any procurement that had been done. Okay, at this stage, we can practice one of the principles of good governance, which is transparency. Okay, and the second outcome is the efficient procurement planning. It may result in efficient procurement planning. For example, the contract for photocopier machine will expire in July. So if we will discuss it first. Okay, how many months that we need for us to obtain the new contract for the photocopier machine. So we can start to plan, for example, in 4 months, so we can start the procurement process 4 months before the contract expired, and this can avoid the extension of the contract period for the current suppliers. Therefore, the planning for the duration and milestone is accurate and there will be no delay on the procurement process. Okay, that's all from me, Dato' and Tuan Irfan. Terima kasih Puan Nur Hidayah atas pembentangan klarifikasi tadi. Seteruskan yang sesi soalan, Pak. Dan Doktor. Jika ada soalan,
Ada mana komen?
Yes.
Bagi Madam komen.
Thank you for your presentation. I
It's
found
under PPK, right?
no,
Under you.
no. I'm KSM.
PPK,
She's
correct
from
lah.
under unit woman. I found it very clear and thank you for brought this topic of procurement.
Betul lebih.
I think we need to master, all of us need to master procurement knowledge. Saya pada tajuk tu lah saya ingat lack of knowledge kan, sebab dia berkaitan dengan training lah kan, kita kena ada pembinaan kompetensi lah, kompetensi development among us. Tapi pada saya lack of knowledge bila you buat kajian macam ni, you need to be specific. Which knowledge, which part? Adakah sistem EP, adakah dari segi integrity pack, adakah which part, kat mana? Sebab kita nak, tak semua knowledge kita lacking, kita ada mungkin kekuatan. Sebab macam especially level PMP, I think they have undergone many lesson, many kita ada training khusus semua kan. So saya percaya mereka dah mahir, tapi at a certain extent dia ada mungkin lack of mungkin sistem mungkin. Cuma saya dah di sini saya ingin buat cadangan, kalau kita nak mengawal situasi kan, kita control kan, maksudnya kita mungkin boleh daripada sistem tu kita dah lock date tu kan. EP tu dah bagus, dah lock date. After this date you cannot enter anymore. Kan, itu dah bagus. Tapi sistem tu mungkin boleh ada sistem macam alert system, reminding person kan, macam dia blast dekat email and remind again kan. So sebab manusia lupa, selalu tak perasan kan. Jadi itu satu lagi you need checklist. Checklist tu you can avoid apa kita panggil tu, overlook, oversight kan, kita terlepas pandang sesuatu kan, step tu kan. Kita sebab memang akan subject to audit dia kalau tengok step tu dia loncat and then ada missing link kat situ, dia terus masuk untuk back ni kan, akan buat teguran. Itu satu lagi tu satu lagi sebab kita tahu yang AP ada 4 perbendaharaan mengenai ataupun perkeliling yang mengenai perolehan lengthy kan, very lengthy, panjang, and then tend to confuse certain wording and jargon and something. Boleh tak kalau macam inisiatif unit kewangan tu buat macam form into infographics so that then benefit us, our officers here, and then easily to grasp the procurement knowledge. Itu saja, terima kasih. Puan. Sebalik.
Right. Lagi? Anybody want to comment? You see, memanglah, dia orang dah ambil modul kewangan kan? Tak. Masa tu semua ingatlah kan? Sebab exam. After the exam module, I think semua ingat. Sebab kita tak guna pakai benda-benda tu. Jadi, misalnya kalau bahagian BIS tu, dia tak buat, they don't do procurement. Dia tidak buat perolehan lah. Cuma dari segi jadi dia tak buat, jadi dia lama-lama dia akan hilang dan dalam tempoh tu dia akan ada banyak pindahan. Memang kita perlukan seorang yang tahu perkembangan yang terkini tau. Sebelum tu macam mana tu, so dia kan very complicated, you know? Macam kita nak beli daripada Shopee, betapa senang tu kan. Kenapa government punya ni susah macam ni? Sebab kita nak pastikan dia tu telus, transparent dan semua tu tidak ada unsur-unsur kartel tu. Unsur kartel dan unsur-unsur ada bocoran semua tu. Dia kena study banyak, dia ada technical specification yang kena penuhi. dan sama ada semua tender tu memberikan technical specifikasi yang diperlukan untuk satu bisikan dan sebagainya. Lepas tu kena tengok harga pula, so dia kena compare. Ada yang dalam cut-off price tu kita kena agree dulu 10% range ke 5% range ke. Yang paling rendah tu biasa kita cut off. Paling rendah. Kalau katakan dia pun boleh supply Mercedes baru pada harga tu, kita tak boleh ambil daripada dia. Kita kena ambil daripada mereka yang near our kebutuhan. Tengok, this. No, the government doesn't mean cheap means no good. We know nowadays you can get quality product at a better, cheaper price, and we know where to get it then. But then government procurement process is still like that. Dia tak ubah. So kita mau 21 hari juga. Zaman dulu punya 21 hari, sebab apa 21 hari? Somebody can tell me. Masa tu kita depend on newspaper. Lambat sampai orang tengok berbelik. Sekarang sudah zaman apa? Masih 21 hari juga. Contohlah. Tapi takkan kita ikut dengan satu yang lama macam lama punya. Bayaran sekarang 14 hari sudah bayar. Tapi harga 20-30% lebih mahal daripada harga pasaran. Kita bayar lebih cepat. So, kalau kita bayar 7 hari pun harga tak turun pun. Kita bayar juga. Kenapa? Mungkin adalah objektif untuk menyusun semula kekayaan itu. But whatever it is, we must get the best deal for the government. So kalau saya lah, kalau buat ni, what you're saying, Hidayah, here is the obvious. Benda yang obvious. Kalau pengetahuan kurang dalam pro dia, jawapan dia, buat latihan, is obvious, you see. So, you see or not? That's why I say, that kind of thing is obvious. So, it is soalan bocor lah. Soalan bocor tahu kan? Kita bagi jawapan, dua soalan dan jawapan dia. So we don't want that kind of. So you must bring value in terms of government procurement procedure. Kita kena cuba tengok macam mana kita buat satu analisis. Anything lah you do for everybody who's online. You must try to look quickly at what you think it can be changed. Time have changed, but you're still doing the same way. Time have changed. Things are moving faster. Information moving faster. So, ubahlah. Orang baru ni jangan ikut orang lama. Kita punya kadang-kadang, you need to bring the changes, because we are moving in a more, what do you call that? Everybody is going at that speed, You cannot go at that slow, block-cut pace, tak boleh. Kita mau roket punya macam ni, naik atas. Bukan macam ni lagi, naik atas terus, Okay? So itulah, so let this be a same thing. Next round, no more. These tools I don't want to see. I want all to use my own research tools to frame up your ideas. I want to see these kind of tools. Because they want just to help you think and formulate ideas, what's the issue, and then you write based on that. Right? So procurement actually is everybody must master lah, but because somebody need to specialize, dia tu lain sikit sebab dia kena pergi kursus, kena faham. Kadang-kadang dia tulis pun kabur, kita faham lain, orang lain faham. So dia kena, so kalau tulisan kabur tu maksud dia keliling tu perlu diubah supaya jadi lebih jelas. Sebab tu banyak bidang. Then for example we have done how to improve the procurement procedure in terms of procurement procedure in terms of ensuring that there's no leakage. How do you ensure transparency is there? How do we do? Kalau orang kata kartel, orang luar kartel, lepas tu dia kaitkan kata ada orang dalam pula. Kita selalu kena blame. Tak malu lah. Kalau kita sebaiklah taklah kalau kena malu. All MPIC officers are corrupted. One officer corrupted, or KSU is even more corrupted. Polis ambil, IGP lagi. Kita ada that kind of impression kan. Please, we have to show that our civil service is clean. To remain clean is very easy. Clean, easy, it's easy, very easy one. Kalau you hargai your family, harga, arwah kita, kalau tak malu kan, bapa pernah kata, mana tadi katakan. Bapa mungkin mana mam, bapa masuk penjara. No. You want more, you go and earn your own money outside. Ask permission to go and work. You don't go and take all these things. Memang banyak peluang. Kalau KSU, lagi banyak. Peluang tu ada. You nak ambil, tak nak ambil. Itu saja. Kalau ambil satu hari ya, rumah saya pun banyak tupai kan. Tapi macam mana pun my dogs can catch them, Jadi sepandai-pandai tupai melompat, dia akan satu hari dia akan jatuh juga tau. Saya belajar daripada from my dogs lah. Tapi orang dulu semua ada fikir benda-benda ni. So you can look from so many angles. Training is normal lah. You don't look at the normal things. Normal things, there is known things. People you won't be able to get their attention. So, Hidayah, try to be more critical in your thinking. Or how to improve. We just say how to improve, just like you want to come to work early. How to do it? If you still live at the same time, still take the same vehicle, you still we won't change anything. So you must move early, take a different route, come here. So you must find that you must overcome issue by finding the different solution. Don't take the same track that everybody has taken and still give the same result, but you still want to do. Intern training has produced this kind of. I understand that, but you been taught like that. You think that is. Alright. Saya cuma nak. I wish I'm training institute.
After retirement.
That's what we are lacking. Lacking to. Hari ini, you are like this. 10 years from now, your life must be better, Sebab you ada anak banyak komplement, so you need to earn more income. So you need to be better. You need to move up. Sekarang mungkin bujang okey lah, makan sendiri kan. Besok berapa mulut mepit? 8 lah. 7 mepit lah. Itu mau cari itu. Nak cari apa? Bukan cari dedap Cari makanan banyak yang perlu dibutuhkan. Alright, so work hard. Always work hard. You must imagine how you have to raise your family. Work hard. Don't take the dub to rasuah lah orang panggil. Alright. Okay, thank you.
Terima kasih Bagi Datuk.
Ini Brazilian ni.
Seterusnya majlis yang menjemput pembentang keempat iaitu Puan Nur Adila binti Fazil untuk membentangkan hasil tugasan beliau. Majlis yang keempatnya mempersilakan Puan Nur Adila. Thank you, MC, and a very good evening to Yang Berhadi Datuk KSU, Head of Division, Panels, and MPIC officers. My name is Nur Adila binti Fazil from Strategic Planning and International Division, or better known as PSA, and today I will be presenting on the issues of Malaysia medical rubber gloves that failed the test by the Brazilian authority. Tentu isu.
Ini macam mana? You nak kasih PM tunggu ke? PM tunggu ni.
Datuk nak saya teruskan ke?
That's why lah. What do you want? Plan B dia apa?
Plan B. I will presenting without the slide. Is it okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So my presentation outline for today will be I will be cover the first one is introduction or background of the issue, followed by problem statement, and then analysis. Analysis by using management tool, proposed initiatives, and last but not least, conclusion. Okay, here I will briefly explain on the bilateral trade between Malaysia and Brazil. Currently, Brazil is Malaysia's largest trading partner in Latin America, while Malaysia is a Brazil largest trading partner among ASEAN member countries. As we can see here, in 2020, bilateral trade between Malaysia and Brazil valued at 11.73 billion, which equals to USD 2.8 billion. With exports to Brazil valued at 3.04 billion, which equals to USD 0.72 billion. And imports from Brazil are valued at 8.69 billion, which equals to USD 2.07 billion. Okay, apart from that, globally in 2020, Brazil is our 20th trading partner, while in 2019, Brazil is our 21st trading partner. In 2020, Brazil is our 30th export destination. Compared to 2019, Brazil is our 27th export destination, which decreased of 3 ranks from 2019. In 2020, Brazil recorded to be our 17th source of imports, increased by 1 rank as compared to 2019. From here, we can see that bilateral trade between Malaysia and Brazil becoming stronger, and we could use this opportunity to increase our exports to Brazil. Okay, also we can see here, the 5 largest exports to Brazil include rubber products, electric and electronic products, chemical products, palm oil-based manufactured products, and petroleum products. These products combined contributed more than 50% of export to Brazil. Rubber product is among, as you can see here, rubber product is among top 5 largest export to Brazil. For your information, Malaysia is the largest supplier of rubber gloves to Brazil, with about 69% of Brazil's total glove imports is from Malaysia. The data is based on the data provided by MITI and MRC. Okay, now here comes the issue. While Brazil has a large market for rubber glove, it is also widely known that complying with Brazil's ANVISA standard for medical gloves could be difficult. For example, its requirement for absence for different of pathogenic microorganisms on medical gloves, which are not in the standard
of other countries, including United States of America and Europe, as well as standards recommended by the International Organization for Standards, ISO. Despite that, rubber gloves from Malaysia could meet the standards set by ANVISA. However, sometimes our rubber medical gloves could fail the test by regulatory authorities due to various reasons, such as poor storage, poor sample handling, and insufficient sample size. Since 2012, ANVISA has taken the following actions for the rubber gloves that failed to meet their assessment, which are confiscation of the sample container load of gloves. The second one is penalty at equivalent value, 100% of the container load of gloves. The third one, total recall for 6 months of the glove made by the same manufacturer from the marketplace. And last but not least is incineration of gloves which cost borne by manufacturers, calculated at 50% of the value confiscated glove. Such penalties for failed products, particularly incineration and 6 month total recall from the marketplace, are great loss not only to the suppliers but also to the consumers. Since approximately 69% of the medical gloves in Brazil were imported from Malaysia. As a result, the exporters tend to lose money equivalent to almost 250% of the value of the gloves imported into Brazil. This data is provided by MRC. In order to address the issue, Malaysia Rubber Glove Manufacturers Association, or better known as MAGMA, has written to ANVISA in 2012 and 2015. In continuation to that, in 2016, Malaysia Rubber Council, MRC, together with MAGMA, through the Embassy of Malaysia to Brazil, held a meeting in Brazil with ANVISA to highlight on this issue. However, to date, the issue has not yet to be solved. Okay, to further analyze and address the issue, SWOT analysis was used in the study to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. As for the strength, as we all know, Malaysia enjoys a cordial and friendly relations with Brazil since the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1959. Since then, the bilateral relationship between Malaysia and Brazil remains strong and vibrant in numerous areas, including trade and investment, education, security, defense, and people-to-people relations. For example, in effort to increase economic cooperation between the two countries in 2016, former Brazil Minister of Foreign Affairs during his official visit to Malaysia said Brazil is looking to expand its visa exemption agreements to include business travel for Malaysians. This shows that Brazil is keen and highly committed to increase bilateral trade and investment with Malaysia. Also during his visit in 2016, he also highlighted that Brazil and Malaysia are complementary economies. So there is a lot of room for diversification of trade between both countries. As for the weaknesses, as I mentioned earlier, Brazil's visa standard for medical rubber glove has been known among industry members to be stringent. In particular, its requirement for absence of different types of pathogenic microorganisms on medical gloves, which are not in the standard of other countries. Okay, as for the opportunities, according to MAGMA, due to the coronavirus global spread, the global shortage of rubber gloves will last beyond the first quarter of 2022. On top of that, based on the data published by International Rubber Study Group, IRSG, it was reported that China, USA, India, Thailand, Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, Russia, and Germany were top 10 consumers of rubber in 2020. Okay, for your information, domestically produced gloves account for about only 13% of the market for medical gloves in Brazil. As local production of the glove is insufficient, Brazil very much relies on imported gloves to cater domestic demand for the product. Okay. With about 69% of Brazil total glove imports is from Malaysia. Malaysia recorded the largest supplier of rubber glove to Brazil. While the global demand for rubber glove increased, Brazil is very much dependent on rubber gloves from Malaysia, especially during current global pandemic outbreak. In this regard, Malaysia holds an advantage because we are the world's largest source of medical glove with a market share about 65%. As for the threat, as much as the global demand for rubber glove increase, the increase of latex allergies are the major challenges that are expected to favor in the use of synthetic ones and other alternatives. Okay, in order to address the issue, negotiation could be conducted with ANVISA for them to consider the following action for failed glove. For example, to recall only affected lots from the market or in the storage. The second one is to allow more than the current 2 laboratories to conduct the test. The third one is to allow second test to be carried out before the batch of glove is rejected. And last but not least, to allow the shipping back of rejected glove with the cost borne by importers or manufacturers. As different countries have different standards for the medical glove, the glove that fail to meet the standard of Brazil may be able to meet standards of other countries which are less stringent than that of Brazil. This glove could be still be put to good use. Okay, there are 2 platforms that we can utilize in order to facilitate the negotiation with ANVISA. The first one is the Joint Trade Committee, JTC between Malaysia and Brazil. The second one is through the Department of Standards Malaysia. Okay, as for JTC, JTC between Malaysia and Brazil was established based on Article 10 of Trade Facilitation Agreement. It was signed between the government of Malaysia and Brazil in Kuala Lumpur in 1996. The first meeting was held on 17 December 2020, and both countries agreed on 3 areas of cooperation, which will be discussed and determined later during the second quarter of 2021. This could be a very good platform to further negotiate and discuss with ANVISA to find a mutual understanding on Brazil's import regulation on medical gloves, since the JTC is a milestone in the bilateral relationship between Malaysia and Brazil, which was established since 1959, besides being a platform that could open and provide various opportunities, which includes the prospect for strategic partnership. Okay, through the Department of Standards Malaysia, through this platform, a dialogue between Department of Standards Malaysia together with Malaysia Rubber Council MRC, Malaysia Rubber Glove Manufacturers Association, MAGMA, and also NPIC together with ANVISA can be conducted. This can be a platform for both sides to clarify the issues for ANVISA to enlighten us in details about the standards and regulation on medical gloves set by ANVISA. In a nutshell, if the issues could be solved, Malaysian manufacturers would be able to further increase their export of rubber medical gloves to Brazil due to more reasonable regulations being put in place. This could result in increase of our export and further strengthen our economy as a whole. Trade is one of the important sources for any country for the contribution of one's GDP. The income generated from trading is crucial for each country to the extent that numerous new agreements were signed, such as MOU and JTC. Relationships between countries were built to make sure this agreement continues so that the country's income could continue being generated subsequently. This is especially for developing countries like Malaysia and Brazil. As we all know, even though Brazil's economic capital, Sao Paulo, is categorized as developed city, Brazil as a whole is still developing. Because of this, Brazil continues to seek long-lasting trade relationships with other countries like Malaysia, for instance. This issue could be solved using platforms if this issue could be solved using the platforms suggested, the trade cooperation as well as diplomatic relationship between both countries could be further strengthened. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Saya mari teruskan dengan sesi soal jawab.
Ya, saya Pubadi
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, Dr. KSU and all the presenter. Basically, this presentation by Adila. I just want to ask, because your whole presentation focused on the importance of Malaysia trade and the standard set by the importer, the Brazil authority. But I don't really see any proposal of solution from our side. I mean, from the manufacturer side. Since we're facing this problem since 1996, sorry, about 25 years. So why can't the industry, the glove manufacturers industry, can't take or can't they elevate their standard in order to meet the requirement by Brazil authority? So don't you see any initiative from our side? And your proposal is more on the government intervention. I think if government want to intervene in this kind of issue through like your joint committee on trade and also the negotiation between government to government, this is more than that actually. This is business to business issue and standard set by the each and particular country. So what the initiative taken by the our Malaysian glove industry to overcome this issue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Purwadi. The issue actually is not from since 1996, but the issue raised since 2012. Okay. Tapi ada lagi jawapan. Okay, macam nak cakap like I mentioned earlier, the standard set by Anvisa for medical glove have been known among industry members to be stringent and lain sikit dari standard set by other countries like the ones in USA and Europe countries, or even the standard set by ISO. Okay. Sebab tu
so industri kita tak boleh nak memenuhi ke kehendak Anvisa tu?
Kita memenuhi walaupun despite dia punya standard sangat strict, tapi sometimes like I mentioned earlier, sometimes dia tak meet dia punya standard tu, dia fail the test. That's why kita nak adakan discussion untuk adakan second lab testing. Does that answer your question?
Not really. I don't really see this is the answer and solution for this issue. That's all. Thank you.
Terima kasih Pak Adila for the presentation. Actually, the presentation quite unique compared to others lah. But it's more on the real issue that we're facing by Malaysian industry lah. Cuma bila tengok next slide tu, lagi. Okay, kita tengok yang bullet nombor 2 tu, rubber glove from Malaysia could meet the standard set by Anvisa, but sometimes our rubber glove could fail the test by activities due to various reasons such as poor storage, poor sample handling, and insufficient sample size. That means it is not related to the quality itself, because Malaysian glove has been endorsed by worldwide. We call it SMG, Standard Malaysian Glove. That means the SMG quality is already well known, recognized by the whole world. That's why our glove really demand by other countries. That's why this is more on the maybe logistic issues compared to the quality itself. that's why this issue, because I'm one of the board member under the MRC. This issue is not being raised by the industry. Maybe this is my first time to hear about this issue, but then I need to check with the industry and together with MRC and Mama, what's the main reason, or why Abisa put stringent, as you said lah, stringent population or whatnot. Then how to cater the issue, because as what has been mentioned by Cik Badi just now, this is maybe B2B, because Malaysia, our glove, most of our glove, they export their product through third party. Third party, that means their local company that import our glove. That means, for example, macam top glove, dia export ke sana, dia bukan jadi top glove punya glove lah. Dia jadi nama syarikat kat sana. Jadi that means the company, the third party there in that Brazil punya environment, they know, they are aware, they all the condition, regulation stated by the regulators lah. That's why I need to check that one. And then when you stated, as a result, the exporters stand to lose money equivalent to almost 250%. Besarnya.
The data saya dapat dari MRC, Miss Grace.
Oh, Grace. Okay. And then when you said about the SWOT, the threat, the increase in latex allergies. Latex allergies is only related to the natural rubber glove, because there are two types of glove, natural rubber dengan nitrile. Nitrile based on the synthetic rubber. Synthetic rubber ni dia guna minyak compared to natural rubber. Natural rubber, dia ada issue with regard to the allergy. When you said that the increase in latex allergies tu, you must prove lah, betul ke ada latex allergy, because most of our product rubber glove, we export nitrile glove instead of natural rubber glove, especially to Europe, to US market. In fact, 65% of our glove comprises of nitrile, 35% natural rubber. Natural rubber for the Asian market compared to the Europe market. Europe and US market. So I think maybe you need to check the fact. Okay. And then maybe for the proposal, as what you mentioned by Mr. Pembentangan, we need to also have the B2B discussion lah, instead of government punya initiative. That's all itu.
Thank you. Thank you. Now the judge will give the verdict. Okay. Now, see, bila title tu, I mean, it says that the Malaysian medical rubber gloves, failed the test by the Brazilian authority. This one is Anvisa. Anvisa is we Google, it's the equivalent of FDA lah. Okay, so kita punya is the standard Malaysian glove. It's the glove standard. Dia punya standard pula is I mean, they are not. I would say they are not the rubber glove standard lah. I would say Anvisa tu. So okay, let me comment on the presentation. You should build up your case based on the issue. Okay, don't go and talk about other sectors that trade very broad, very big. You don't have time. And whatever you do, you always zoom into your background on the issue. Why this is an issue? Why this is a problem? Straight kat situ. So no need to, for example, you were reading about export, ringgit, after that, US dollar, no need. No need. So just one cukup ringgit Malaysia berapa, tengok audience semua tahu lah. Kalau audience Marsalik baca US dollar cukup. Kan, you tengok audience majority siapa. So don't waste time doing that and all that. Just focus on our rubber glove to this one total trade ni bilateral trade kan, so it's very broad. So we also don't know how much is our market there. Okay, yang tadi pun as I mentioned, the standard here is not when the rubber gloves was shipped, it was all in good condition. The only thing when they went there due to weather, rubber gloves, rubber, dia ada apa kata, dia protein tau, kan? Dia ada protein, that's why got protein allergies. Kan? Rubber gloves got protein. So rubber glove ni bila ada protein jadi somehow will deteriorate with heat and all that lah. So because of that, so bila kita hantar tu is failed because of that handling ni. So these companies, as mentioned by Mr. Kubadi, the companies must see how to overcome the packaging of these gloves to reduce that kind of damage and rejection by Anvisa. So this is more of which can be settled at the company level. You don't need the FDA. FDA will not give you just because you have FDA kau punya okay lah masuk je. Tak ada, bukan macam tu. FDA, when you give something, they also want something from us, Kita pula bagi suruh dia say how you will benefit. Okay, you bagi saya masuk macam ni, saya bagi you masuk macam ni lah. Kan? So FDA cannot use here because here is more of it's a thing where it's within the control of the company. If we want the market, this one is if you want the Brazilian market, and the Brazilian market is a big market for you, then you must try to fulfill what is the requirement of the market and what is the cost of rejection to. You can study and then you improve on it. It could be just in terms of maybe you need a better proper packaging with more heat insulation so that it doesn't damage it. So they must do it lah, kan? So I don't think so. Brazil did this on purpose for our glove. So I do not know lah. So tapi dia kalau nak masuk ni benda-benda macam ni we require a lot of what should really happen on the ground. Kan kalau tak ada banyak benda, banyak question akan timbul lah. Faham Atika? Apa Atika? Semalam dekat A1 PTD tu ramai nama Atika. Atika binti Nur Atika. But anyway, so like this, you're given a limited time, zooming straight into the background issue. Straight, no need to give the other things. So straight away, no need to talk about the big. Our trade to Brazil into rubber glove, this is the amount. And part of it is nitrile and part of it is gloves. Okay, so the rejection is where? Is it the nitrile gloves or the latex glove? Is it more on the latex glove? Then you need to say why. This is what has been identified by the authority. The meltdown of the latex product and all that. Because they ambil masa lama, they apply ke chip kan, jauh, tak simpan betul. So the company must endeavor to reduce the issue lah. Atau there's a big market there, we cannot put it there kan. So you need to find somewhere nearer lah, mungkin. Brazil pun ada tulis rubber.
Ada 15%.
Tak banyak, dia yang mula-mula getah. Kita itu, so all these rubber all exotic plant, that means it's not our natural plant. Sawit pun is exotic, bukan kita punya. Tapi dia orang don't have that capacity to
Capacity,
not organize, because we must be thankful to the British. The British are the one to help us to develop the communities, rubber. Then, then before we start taking over the whole thing. So dia punya analysis tu. Of course, and then so we want to bring FTA. It's more like you need to bring the win-win situation for FTA. What Brazil got to tell we are and then we want to improve the overall trade, and then we can talk about having the FTA. So jangan we must be focused, Don't try to put in things that are not related. So dia agak masalah kan. You see, when you talk about cadangan dia for FTA kan, FTA kan. Tapi proposed initiative pula, this one all in this proposed initiative dia kata, this kind of negotiation we cannot put the FTA.
Bukan FTA, JTC je.
Sorry?
Bukan FTA.
Ni apa kata?
JTC je.
Apa?
JTC, Joint Trade.
Joint Trade Committee ya.
Yes.
Malaysia and
Kita agree untuk exchange 3 areas of cooperation. Dia tak sampai ke FTA lagi.
oh, okay.
Tapi normally JTC lah dia initiator kepada FTA. Even macam Dato' KSU cakap, benda macam ni pun selalu tak masuk dalam JTC. Sebab isunya bukan melibatkan isu antara dua government. Isunya lebih kepada business to business. Itu yang saya tadi concern lah, saya cautionkan puan tadi.
Alright. Okay So from here we all learn So bila analisis satu isu tu, mesti apa isu tu? Fokus kepada isu tu, kupas 1, 2, 3 yang mana. Jangan cuba those main ones, pick up the main ones. There are some other several smaller issues, but these are the 3 main issues that I think we need to address. Cakap macam tu. Alright. So once kena berani lah, kita kena berani keluar daripada bidang kita. Faham? Kita jangan, I didn't ask you to do on Kena, I didn't ask you to do on farmer, I didn't ask you to do on procurement. But we tend to confine our thinking to what we do. Sama juga bila kita buat masters pun, sama juga. Kita akan confine dengan apa yang kita tahu. Kenapa ada banyak benda you boleh belajar. I was doing tax in the tax. I was a treasury officer doing cukai. But my thesis was not on that. My thesis was on color television industry and in the whether there's any supplier development program between the Japanese companies and the local companies, and in relation to the color television industry. So jangan bila benda tu banyak benda but sometimes we tend to do what we know best lah. Tapi itu everybody seem to be like that lah. I mean, so you try to do something different. There's so many areas that you can look at, but it'd be good lah. Not necessarily you do procurement, you terpaksa buat procurement, you boleh buat sawit juga. You punya idea tentang komoditi. You PSA, you don't need to do international. You can do getah, kenaf. You boleh buat PSA, international. Apa you minat buat? Hubungan kita, Afghanistan in terms of trade commodity, is there any potential there? Minister talking about Middle East, Eastern Europe, Philippines, Myanmar market, regional market. What do you think about that? The idea is how to develop that analytical skills. Who's thinking about certain things? That's the one I want to see. Not you must do kenal. Kalau you kenal, next topic pun kenal juga lah kan. Sebab you buat kenal kan. Okay. sekali cakap pasal benih, lepas tu cakap pasal daun, lepas tu cakap pasal batang dia, lepas tu cakap produk itu. So I want, but if you want to look enough, fine, but be brave enough to explore out of the area and within the commodity sector. Maybe you can say what are the new commodities that are potential that can be developed. Macam tu lah. Tapi you rasa human resource, you find that the management, the structure, the MPIC is wrong. Cakap. Cakap lah, itulah maksud dia. Kita kena, sebab kita dapat lihat berani. Kalau kita takut ni, kita idea baru tak akan keluar. Okay, thank you very much, Puan Adila. Adila kan?
Ya, betul.
Siapa lagi? Okay, thank you.
Okey, teruskan sesi pembentangan kelima ya. Encik Abdul Rashid bin Zulkifli di majlis yang hormat, silakan. Encik Abdul Rashid.
Tentang Forest Management. Inilah title ni berat ni. Saya tahu sikit je lah, saya tahu lah.
Assalamualaikum and very good evening to Dato' KSU and to all the audience. My name is Muhammad Abdul Rashid bin Zulkifli and I'm from KPK. My topic is on the public perception on the sustainable forest management through implementation of the NTCS. So before we go further, is it Malaysia not managing the forest well? So as you can see from the data and from the data from Malaysia and a few countries, so we can compare from the percentage of the forest as percentage of the area. So we can see that Malaysia forest area is quite high to compare than the other countries. If you can see the total land area in the other country is more high. Even Malaysia has small area, but we have higher forest cover. So is it apa nak cakap? Okay, so usually the Westerners always say bad things toward our timber industry. So then they already cut their trees and being the developed country, and then after being the developed country, so they attack the developing countries. So and then the Westerners suddenly they say about the sustainable, and the Malaysians, I think mostly Malaysians to glorify all the white people. So whatever they say is all right, and we do the wrong things lah. And then for the timber industry, as you all know, the timber industry is the third largest commodity after the palm oil and rubber. So the timber industry now has become an important $1 billion export-oriented sector. As you can see, in 2019, the export value is 22 billion, and 2020, despite of the COVID-19, we still give an outstanding figures, which is 22.02 billion. And then now, since everyone is talking about the sustainable, so the timber industry also responds to the demand to the SFM, Sustainable Forest Management. So it is necessary to encourage to make sure the timber and timber product harvested from legal and sustainable source. And then the effort is to introduce the forest certification, which is the MTCS. So the MTCS is started in 2001, and the purpose is to promote the sustainable forest management and promote the sustainable timber trade in Malaysia. So MTCS is a voluntary scheme which provide the assessment of forest management practice and audit of timber product manufacturers to make sure the timber is sourced from the sustainable managed forest. So as of 31st December, 30 FMUs which cover total area of 5.25 million hectares were MTCS certified. Okay, next, the problem statement. So whenever we talk about timber, it will be close to something negative or illegal activities. So for example, when we talk about timber, people will think the deforestation or flood or climate change. So the first one is the bad perception. People always have bad perception toward timber industry. And second one, people nowadays started to concern and aware about keeping the earth well. They talk about the sustainable, but they don't know what actually the measure had been taken to take care of the timber industry. So right now, so we are in the digital era, and all the information we can get from the tip of our finger. So, but is it the information is accurate? Is it the information right? So as we can see here, on the left side is the UNEP WCNC document. So which is we can find it online. It talks about Malaysian timber industry, and it give a false allegation. And then the middle one is from the Twitter, the social media, the Twitter, because nowadays for youngsters, what they can find online, they tend to believe whatever it is. So this is everyday what we can see. And then the right one is from the news online. Okay, next, the analysis. I'm using the Ichikawa, the fisherman analysis to see what the cause that lead to the negative perception for the timber industry. So first is the awareness. The awareness is increasing in among the people towards the climate change and sustainability. And then the second one is the perception that always bad since a long time ago, and I think still increasing towards the timber industry. So whenever people talk about timber, they will think illegal activities. Next is the false allegation. For example, the UNEP, they use the data and information from illegal source, and I think the methodology they did is different. So they tend to give the wrong info about our timber industry. And then the lastly is the ineffective promotion. I believe MTCC has promoted the MTCS which is to practice the SFM, but still many industry players don't go for the certificate. As of 2020, there are 381 companies under the chain of custody, which is 381 is only 10% of the total company in the timber industry. And then the next one is the strategy. So for the strategy, I divide into two. First, which is the awareness, and then the engagement. The first one, the usage of PEFC logo on the certified timber product. So since the MTCS is endorsed by PEFC, so the MTCS certified can use the PEFC logo on their product to promote more the product. Actually, I think people don't really bother about whether it have the logo or not, whether it is MTCS certified or not. But at least if you promote the logo, people can see the logo. I think people will aware of the logo at least once they can see the logo in their lifetime. And then because I believe the success of a product is driven by how they bring their product, how they brand their product. Then next, using the social media, so the knowledge sharing about timber industry in Malaysia. So since nowadays people used to use their smartphone and everything online, so I think it is suitable to promote about timber industry in Malaysia through the social media. Then the next one is documentary about the timber industry. But the documentary must be like National Geographic or Discovery level, because how they tell the story, how they attract the audience to watch the documentary. If not, the documentary will be just dry. Then next part is the engagement. Engagement is to encourage the industry players to obtain the certification. So how we can encourage them? First, we can helping them, for example, to simplify the process of or make it all the MTCS certified will get the green lane or the simpler process to export their product. So industry player will be more interested to go for the MTCS. And then next, maybe we can give them like tax exemption whenever the MTCS certified. Maybe can give them some rebate on their tax. Next, for the outcome, so since from the strategy before, so the outcome will be first create awareness and knowledge about SFM in Malaysia, so people will know what actually has been done to strike the balance between economy and conserve the nature, the timber. And then second, since more people will get the knowledge, the negative perception towards timber industry can be decreased. And then the number of export for timber product will also be increased, since more industry players have their timber product certified. So the export market will be larger, since the certification can be accepted at many countries. And then lastly, the timber industry in Malaysia will be more vibrant, and at the same time our forest will be conserved and sustained for the future. That's all. Thank you.
Terima kasih kepada Encik Amir Rashid di atas pembentangan diskusi bagi diskusikan dengan Sesi Soal oleh panel dan hadirin. Persilakan bagi Datuk Puan untuk bertanya secara soalan.
Bila mau tanya soalan. Jadi macam angkat tangan tu. Ya, who's that?
Sang here, Datuk.
Dr. Sang.
Okey, sedikit saja kepada presenter. Tadi saya terdengar dia mention about white people lah. Saya rasa sebagai pegawai PTD secara diplomatiknya jangan sebut white people ke black people, this kind of thing jangan disebut lah dalam mana-mana presentation sebab it's quite sensitive. Thank you. Itu saja dari saya. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sang.
Black people okay. Blacks like to be called blacks. Don't call them niggers. Okay, thank you. Lagi? Tak ada idea ke semua ni? Kena tanya soalan lah. You see the way to get information is to ask questions. Must fish out, you must learn to fish out information. Kalau you seorang pengurusi, kita kena tahu macam mana tanya soalan. Kita tanya soalan ni bukan untuk you nak bagi semua orang tahu. Bila chair meeting, you tanya soalan tu. Then actually what the chairman is doing is fish out all this information and share. And I know other people are going to respond to that. See, so then the discussion goes, and then as though the work of a chairman ni penting tau dalam satu mesyuarat. So, bukan dia duduk baca chairman tak, dia kena pick up the information so everybody knows that and see whether they are okay with that kind of idea, suggestion, proposal. Tadi banyak cakap pasal perception ni kan. So we have the kind of a perception analysis. What is the perception? The forest contributes, for example, in terms of management of our forests. And for example, you have highlighted that we have 45% of our forest certified for MPCS scheme. Okay, so that is good. But still, though we have a higher rate of certification, but then the perception is that we are still destroying the forests. So that means our conservation effort is not sufficient, and our forest has been managed unsustainably. This is a negative perception, and also, like for example, our logging system is high impact logging. Tahu kan high impact logging? So dia high impact logging. Cara kita tebang pokok tu dia merosakkan pokok-pokok yang lain. So high impact versus low impact logging. So we might be able to say the perception is more towards what? And then in terms of what is the issue that we face in terms of our timber? Is it timber or forest? Sustainable forest management. So for example, people like EU market all they want. What do you call that? FSC, FSC certification for forest. Europe is FSC.
Forest
Stewardship Council is Europe.
Yes, Datuk. Yes.
So sometimes it's all matter of having that standard, because we did not use FSC, we have PFC, kan? So dia tak akan recognize. So dia nak macam tu. Certain market they want recognition because this is one form of this, what you call it, a non-tariff barrier, kan? Dia meletakkan halangan tapi dalam bentuk yang berlainan. So that is allowed. So everybody is playing that game. Our palm oil also doesn't fulfill the 3MC, for example, 3MCPD or high direct climate change risk lah. Kan? So dia akan mainkan benda-benda ni. So kita ni dia tak akan main berdasarkan ruling WTO, dia akan main cara lain. So tapi kita kena buktikan, macam kita buatkan the WTO dispute settlement yang kita tengah ada file case kan. So kita cuba bawa dari segi trade discrimination, walaupun dia tak bertentang. So kita nak cuba bawa dari segi trade discrimination lah. Tapi dia punya letak tu is all non-tariff barrier, which is not there, you see. So dia membeza-bezakan produk dari segi dia tak satu lainan yang sama. Dia membeza-bezakan produk. So we have to find reason how you want to argue that there exists trade discrimination. So dunia sudah berubah, tak boleh pakai cerita baru. So dia semua sudah lebih kompleks. So you must see, what is the reason. PFC, FSC, I don't know what are the other standards. This kind of thing you must be able to see and give your punya, that kind of thing brings value. No, okay, you guys are all new in the new kid on the block.
Boy band.
New kid on the block. So, but new kids must able to see things. See things. Kadang-kadang kena dua lah bagi apa panggil? Wisdom tu. Banyak petunjuk.
Revelation.
Hey, you all must pray like this, Sometimes God can help you, give ideas, this kind of nampak cahaya lah. Enlightenment. Kan dia macam tu lah. So kita kena baca banyak benda sekarang ni between the lines. Nothing is straightforward anymore. Faham? Nanti kau kena petang. So I want you to see like these things are changing. You cannot see things macam tu. People don't do this way. Very many ways of attacking us now through the NGOs. Human rights now coming in. We are gaining bigger share. Dulu bila palm oil tu, you got more. Dulu palm oil kita baru new kid on the block also lah. Tapi when we start to gain that market share, approaching from 10, 20, 30, that's where the thing comes. Because we are taking away the market share from other edible oil suppliers, soya, rapeseed, sunflower, coconut oil. You're taking away. When take away something, people don't keep quiet. They will attack you and discredit your product. So, dah tahu kan akan berlaku. Bila tu, jadi kita kena buat sesuatu bagi menangani benda tu lah. Apa dia? Jadi kita buat MSPO. Dulu dah MSPO, mandatory government certification. So we need, and then we need to sell our MSPO. Banyak cabaran lah. Cabaran kita pun dah mula guna. Semua orang akan guna. Besok China dah mula guna. China product also in terms of the MR level, minimum residual level terbaik, bacun, semua dah pakai lah. Dulu under the Esei tahu kan, quarantine inspection China. Dah guna dah. China dah mula kenakan standard tau pada produk kita. Produk-produk daripada Thailand boleh lepas, produk dari kita tak boleh lepas. Kenapa? So pertanyaan ni semua, ini semua satu permainan yang mana you kena be able to see things differently. Macam baru-baru ni kan, dia kata Sri Lanka mengharamkan penanaman sawit. Dia nak buat sawit, nak potong. Dia kata sawit, jadi dia import lebih kurang 69% lah of their oils and fat requirement, 70%. So dia kata dia nak potong kelapa sawit. Kalau potong kelapa sawit, potong tanam coconut oil. So masih tak cukup. Dia kena tanam. Nak tanam tu mesti ada tanah. Mana dia nak guna? Tanam kelapa, tanah kalau dia nak memenuhi bekalan tempatan dia kena tanam pokok lagi banyak. Mana tanah tu akan datang dari mana? Tanah atas langit tak boleh kan? Dia kena potong. Dia kena cari tanah juga, hutan lah, dia pun nak kena potong juga. Tapi you boleh tanam apa, asalkan you tanam selain daripada sawit di kawasan yang you troka tu orang tak tengok lah. So coconut oil is not a threat to other oil. Our oil is a threat to other oil in terms of yield and productivity, in terms of pricing, quality kita lebih baik lah. So these are the things we must learn to see lah. Mana sektor you duduk pun, tak kisahlah pertanian ke, manufacturing ke, you must be able to see. Once you can see, anything is easy. So, faham lah? So, mula fikir, kalau you seorang pencuri, saya tak masuk pintu depan. Semua tadi curi semua masuk pintu depan. Maksud saya ambil analogi lah. Address something, you semua masuk pintu depan. Pintu yang mana orang masuk pintu depan lah. Tapi ada banyak cara nak masuk rumah tu. So itu yang saya nak you cuba tengok. Pendekatan yang bukan yang macam ni, laluan terus. Pendekatan yang lain, cara nak masuk rumah tu. Now, want to address one problem. If you're a gamer, you should know lah. Kalau gamer, dia ada open end game and linear game. Open end game ni, dia boleh dari berbagai sudut achieve objective. Linear means one step. Obvious, everybody will go through that step. So there's no creativity. Kind of thing. So I'm a gamer lah. So gamer, malu kan. Tapi saya nak cari itu. So it helps my mind to think differently. So don't go play game lah. Okay, thank you. So now we have our last presenter.
Yes, presenter. Silakan Cik Oh Siang Win untuk pecahkan hasil.
Thank you.
Macam mana?
So keep the best to the last, huh?
Okay, alright.
Scientific plantation, facing forced labor acquisition. Okay. Tak boleh.
Okay, a very good evening. I greet to Dr. Wayu Mutaya and everyone who have presented today. And as the last presenter, I would like to proudly present my topic for today, which is Sandabi Plantation, facing forced labor acquisition. So moving on to the background, what can be observed is that Malaysia since 2014 has been listed in Trafficking Victims Protection with Authorization Act because of issue of forced labor allegations in palm oil sector. And Sandabi Plantation Berhad is also known as one of the largest plantation company in Malaysia. So there are actually a lot of breakdown to what actually happened in the issue of how the Sandabi accusation actually happened. But I think the main three, which is on 6th of July 2020, Liberty Shed had released a summary of petition submitted to US Customs and Border Protection concerning alleged conditions of forced labor and child labor experienced by workers on plantation / estate owned and or run by Sandabi Plantation Berhad. So on 4th of August 2020, Liberty Shed had issued a response to the statement released by Sandabi Plantation concerning the petition Liberty Shed had submitted to US Customs and Border Protection. And on 30th December, there has been a withhold release order released by Liberty Chat on the Samdabi plantation. And as the title has suggested that Samdabi plantation has been accused of forced labor accusation, one of the things that we can observe is that the reason to why they are being accused is because they contain 11 indicators, which are vulnerability, deception, restriction of movement, isolation, physical and sexual violence, intimidation and threats, retention of identity documents, withholding of wages, debt bondage, abusive working and living conditions, and excessive overtime. So what can be observed is also that Liberty Chat has also issued 2 complaints on the matter. One is to United Kingdom on Slavery Act, and the other one in Malaysia on sustainability. But as this presentation is going to be focusing on forced labor accusation, so we'll be targeting more towards the forced labor side. So my analysis is actually broken down into 4 sides, but I'll try to make it as simple as I can. So national interest will cover every country, as how we have mentioned just now. Certain countries will be famous for probably coconut oil. Some countries will be famous for probably soybean oil. So they will definitely want to defend their country's interests by protecting the country. They will definitely want to say that, hey, you know, palm oil is actually bad for the environment. And therefore, they want to come up with plans and also discussion to say that, hey, you know, palm oil is actually bad for the environment. It can probably cause side effects to a person. And therefore, once they were to take initiative to go against palm oil, this will in return have the people around them to be convinced to buy more of their national products, such as soybean oil, which allows to continually run plantation of soybean oil and indirectly causes the country to actually gain more revenue through the act that the nation has done to protect their national interests. The following up to that is non-governmental organization. So normally big organizations such as Liberty Chat, they are very influential. So when they are influential, they would be able to influence various parties such as government of a certain country to actually go against something such as our oil palm oil. And this has also causes NGO to be firm that saying that, hey, you know, since oil palm oil is bad, therefore we should influence other people to not buy oil palm products. And of course, media presence is also very influential in the sense that, you know, media can also be used for good and bad. But if media were to be targeting towards the negative perception of what oil palm is, more people would be more believable that, hey, you know, oil palm is actually bad for the environment, such as how probably Greenpeace will have promoted that oil palm could have caused more animals to not have a proper living condition due to the fact of oil palm plantation being expanding. And even for a normal kid itself who would probably be watching this would believe that oil palm is bad. And if you were to inculcate them ever since when they're younger, growing up, they will be more convinced to buy healthier stuff, probably because of media saying that the plantation that has been run by oil palm is bad. And therefore, this has causes a lot of negative perception towards Samdabi plantation, such as the products that they produce. So company conflict would fall under the category such as how people would want to buy products that have no oil palm content. So they would have products that say there's no oil palm in this product and therefore they would be more willing to buy. It's because there's a lot of pressure from consumers to want to buy product that has no oil palm inside that product itself. So therefore, this accusation will probably be very uncalled for actually big organizations such as Samdabi who actually produces product that is actually oil palm based. And has all this being put into a basket would probably lead to some Samdabi plantation product spend. Okay. So the strategy management to how do we manage the issue that has been caused from this accusation will probably be to build stronger relationship with non-governmental organization. Let's say if Liberty Chat were to be going against us, why don't we look for other alternatives such as other big NGOs out there who could probably be able to influence people around and also nation worldwide to make oil palm to be one of the better products out there to support and also to bring about the goodness of what oil palm plantation could have been. And also this can be done through industry empowerment by social re-engineering. the art of convincing people to believe that the product is good, I think it's a very good thing, because if you were to promote, let's say, for example, a Malaysian sustainable palm oil certificate worldwide, to show that we, Malaysia, we do have our strict standards in terms of monitoring how our palm oil are being produced. By coming out with strategic plan to how do we want to achieve that, I think that is also a very good plan, because this will bring about to people believing that Malaysia is looking strictly into our MSPO certificate, and therefore how we bring about the MSPO certificate globally is also something that we can look forward for as a nation, and as how some that we could choose to when it comes to dealing with accusations like this. And also secondly, on stricter monitoring. So due to the effect of the whole release order being strict on Sandabi, for the accusation of the 11 indicators that I mentioned just now. So what can we do is that we can be stricter in terms of our marketing condition. So we can strengthen our current market to say that we are doing our best to actually improve the condition of our regulation internally of the market. And therefore, with that itself, we can also develop a venture into new markets who would be able to observe Malaysia as being a country who's very strict on our standards. And therefore, this could also lead to economic empowerment, knowing the fact that since we are strict with our regulation and enforcement, therefore, more people will really want to invest and buy from our Malaysian oil palm, especially from Samdabi itself, because of the fact that they regulate it really thoroughly. And what can we do in terms of strategic plan is that we can encourage industry-driven responsible practices across the value chain, encompassing workers' rights, safety standards, and compliance. Of course, we do not fall short in terms of our ability to regulate how we look into safety, how we look in terms of the accommodation that we provide workers these days. And I believe that Sandabi has also been taking the initiative to actually address this issue. And they are, at the same time, pushing forward to actually ensuring that this will happen. Okay, now moving on to the outcome. This will be my final slide for the day. So what can we actually achieve from this strategic outcome is that we can create policies which are fair and just. From what I can understand is that if policies were to be implemented, it will be able to set as a guideline for other industries out there, not just Samdabi itself, but other industries out there to be able to follow. And to know that since there is this policy that has been implemented, and therefore we can able to have something to guide us as we go along running our industry in Malaysia. And also coordinate plans to ensure stricter regulation and also audits is done is because for us to actually be able to continue our high standards of Malaysian palm oil production, there is also a continuous need to be audited. And once we are being audited, and when audited report comes out to show that we are doing things just and fair, accusations outside can thus be reduced, and therefore there will be lesser accusations from outside, which in other words could actually help us in actually developing our stance that we manage our oil palm in a sustainable way. And of course, as this topic talks about labor accusation in a more ethical way, so that we can actually gain people's trust to actually get our oil palm products, especially one of it is from Samdabi's plantation production site. With that, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Akan kepada
Decision now. PM can make a decision now.
Bila ada apa persoalan untuk cikgu?
Ya, ada.
Ada.
Siapa tu?
Apa body, Datuk?
Okey, silakan.
Okay, thank you, Datuk. I think the presenter, Mr. Oi, I just want to ask you, did you read the report study done by our ministry and I think, completed this year? Did you read that report?
I think I may have accidentally missed out, yeah.
No, that is very important document.
Yeah.
And actually that is our effort for the last 5-6 years, and we spent few millions to really look at this problem. Because when I saw your presentation, it looked like you are more towards defending Sandabi. Because I think we need to put our house in order first before we come to a conclusion that certain market actually try to discriminate us, as Dato' KSU explained just now. So now we are in a situation of facing a lot of competition and non-tariff barriers. And I think this issue, we're just waiting for the time to explode with the permission Dato' KSU.
Yeah.
So I think you need to read the report and I think if you read the report fully, most probably you will change your slide presentation later. So that's my comment only. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Ada lain? Belum saya bagi.
Datuk.
Siapa dia?
Airul Azim, IKK.
Oh, saya Azim.
Okey, silakan.
Saya tak nak bukan komplain fakta, saya secara keseluruhan semua pegawai PTD yang baru yang membuat membuat presentation masing-masing, dari segi penyampaian semua bagus, dari segi kejelasan semua memang terang dan jelas. Cuma sebagai seorang pegawai PTD, pada pendapat saya, anda semua mesti menguasai topik yang anda bentangkan lah. Sebagaimana Datuk KSU sebut tadi, terutamanya jika kita membuat pembentangan di depan, contohnya depan Perdana Menteri. Okey. Sebagai pegawai, anda semua mesti menguasai topik dan perkara yang anda sampaikan. Seboleh-bolehnya minimum kan merujuk kepada nota. Kalau boleh anda menghafal semua fakta-fakta yang anda disampaikan, kerana apabila fakta itu berada dalam kepala anda, maknanya anda telah menguasai topik yang hendak disampaikan kepada para pendengar. Sebab dalam komunikasi penting, iaitu kita nak memindahkan mesej daripada kita kepada orang yang berada di depan kita, kepada pihak yang kedua. Jadi penyampaian kita akan mempengaruhi mesej yang sampai kepada pendengar. Jika penyampaian kita ataupun komunikasi itu berlaku dengan tidak sepatutnya, maka mesej yang akan sampai kepada pendengar akan diinterpretasikan dengan pelbagai sudut. Walaupun sama ada mereka akan mendengar dengan minat ataupun mereka tidak berminat untuk mendengar. Jadi yang paling penting sekarang ni bila kita membuat presentation, kita mesti untuk menarik perhatian pendengar kita, kerana mesej yang kita nak sampaikan kepada mereka adalah amat penting dan mereka mesti dengar apa yang kita nak sampaikan. Jika mereka tak dengar, maknanya kita telah gagal dalam sudut komunikasi lah, dalam sudut untuk menyampaikan mesej. Kita kena faham bahawa presentation adalah untuk menyampaikan mesej. Kalau kita tak dapat sampaikan mesej, maka presentation kita gagal. Itu yang penting lah. Dan untuk itu kita mestilah kuasai topik yang kita hendak sampaikan. Cara mana anda nak menyampaikan mesej itu, topik itu terpulang kepada kebijaksanaan ataupun kreativiti masing-masing lah. Jika anda bagi pendapat saya lah secara peribadi, jika anda menguasai bahasa Inggeris dengan sebaiknya, anda sampaikanlah dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jika anda menguasai bahasa Melayu dengan lebih baik daripada bahasa Inggeris, anda sampaikanlah dalam bahasa Melayu. Jika anda menguasai kedua-duanya, anda boleh campurkan sedikit sebanyak antara kedua-dua bahasa ini. Ini menunjukkan anda seorang yang pakar lah dalam bidang yang anda kuasai. Jadi saya rasa itu sajalah kot. Apa-apa pun tahniah kepada semua pegawai baru ni, yang ni anda semua boleh belajar lagi. Sebagai seorang PTD, nasihat saya ialah anda semua mesti menjadi seorang pegawai tadbir dan diplomatik yang menguasai bidang masing-masing ataupun bidang yang anda ditugaskan oleh pihak pengurusan. Itu saja Datuk. Terima kasih Datuk.
Okay, terima kasih. Bahasa memang penguasaan bahasa tu penting, sama ada bahasa Melayu ke bahasa Inggeris ke. Kita kena fasih lah berbahasa yang boleh menyampaikan sesuatu idea. Tapi bahasa yang kita gunakan tu kadang-kadang kita terpaksa. Dia international, kalau international punya conference platform, then you have to use English. If it's mostly, you see mostly cakap bahasa Melayu orang kita, dan memang nama bengkel persidangan itu pun dalam dinamakan dalam bahasa Melayu, kan, membentang tajuk-tajuk pun diberi dalam bahasa Melayu, you kena bentang dalam bahasa Melayu. So we must be good in both languages. Kan. That one language you must start branching up. Kisah. Saya pernah cerita dulu kan, kawan saya bahasa Inggeris dia tak bagus. So dia ambil lah buku dah tingkatan 1, dia buat exercise. Lepas tu dia pergi tingkatan 2. Sebab kita dah matang. Bila kita matang, pemahaman kita lebih baik berbanding masa kita jadi pelajar dulu. So today you're graduate kan, you boleh bimbing, bantu you punya undergraduate tu kan, yang masih belajar. Sebab kita dah melalui proses itu. Tapi kalau rasa kita tak melaluinya dengan baik, ulang balik on your own pace. Kan? Bahasa Inggeris pun begitu. Bahasa Melayu pun sama. Bila baca, kita kena tengok baca mana susunan ayat dia, kata yang digunakan. Kadang-kadang saya pula kena betulkan bahasa Melayu kita. Sebab maksud dia tak sampai. Bila baca, tak tahu nak kata apa yang nak disampaikan tu. So need to read carefully. Okay, on you, I thought you be the next Lin Jixiang. No. Okay, anyway, like this. Try to slow down a bit. You tend to, due to time constraint, so you won't tend to speak. But when you have time constraint, sometimes it's good only to pick certain things and highlight certain. So yang ni pun, so this why I'm saying, first this ini aktivis kan, aktivis is NGO, ada yang kita panggil hostile NGOs, but they are also friendly NGOs. So but all these NGOs have objective, they need to survive. It's non-governmental organization, and we must see, if we know who's behind these NGOs, then our strategy will be even clearer. Yeah. We know the shared liberty or even the Greenpeace, who are behind all these people. There are people, so they attack you. You know, palm oil has gone through that kind of attack where first it was on deforestation, under the health issue, you know, and then orang hutan nak balik kepada deforestation, dia akan masuk lagi contamination. So sekarang dia sudah lompat kepada labor rights in the plantation. After that, labor rights, they will go to workers' rights. Workers' right to establish union. Why workers' right? Workers' right tu, bila kita workers' right, your cost of production will go up. You have to pay zero cost recruitment, kan? Bring over. So this one will become part of your cost. To make your cost of your production will go up because we are low cost producing countries comparatively lah. Low cost producing countries. So you have the advantage. So they will try to dia akan letak semua ni, tapi kita tak tahu what are they aiming at. And eventually they say why don't allow union for your workers. So the union will demand wages, higher salary, you know, blah blah blah. So dia boleh guna tu juga untuk gunakan macam-macam cara dia. Tu yang kata masuk pintu bukan pintu depan saja boleh masuk. Dia ada, when you play catur dah kan, siapa yang main catur tu, when you move one piece, that is not your intention. Your intention is you're making way for other pieces, opening way for other pieces to attack the other side. And that's how you play chess. So when it comes to this, please be sensitive. I always say this. It doesn't mean everything you are suspicious and all that, but these are the things that we must be able to read. You must be able to read what is the next step they will take, and what is the probable step they may take. Kan? Dia akan hit kita banyak cara. Okay, So I think it's a good exercise. So thank you very much. Tujuan saya satu saja untuk pemikiran pegawai baru ini. Sebab saya nak you lihat, throw away all your tools, sort. But those are itu side apa ni, they are just tools. But don't put the tools inside the process when you go to PM or minister. Kan you dah analyze, you letak dah. Kan itu je, itu. So kena buang lah kan. Itu. Tapi jangan, so don't be conditioned by one thinking. And this goes to everyone. Don't be conditioned what Intan has taught you. Intan has taught you only to give you the tools. You use the tools, or you modify the tools, or discard the tools. Probably they are not suitable the current time period of time, issue, dia sudah berubah. And then always, whatever it is, always do some research. The research is now is so. Dulu kita nak cari buku, nak cari, tak dapat buku. Sekarang semua tekan saja Brazil punya bisa. Semua ada. It's FDA equivalent of Brazil. So, right? So itulah cara kita approach certain issue. So thank you very much for your participation. I think banyak kita boleh tambah baik. Kalau kita ada video ambil gambar tu, lepas tu dia tengok, masing-masing boleh. Bila kita tengok diri kita kan, kita dengar suara kita kan. Kita normally we don't like our voice, right? You like your own voice. Betul kan? No, you know, when you hear yourself, you find it could have been better lah. But actually, other people they say it sounds good. But then it's just that I don't know why. We like other people's voice, we don't like our own voice. It's like that on lah. Alright. Itu saja, terima kasih.
Terima kasih yang banyak.
And we give chance to SUB or KU to do evaluation of the process. Bagi QR code.
Habis.
Ya, terima kasih kepada bagi Datuk KSU atas ucapan dan ulasan yang disampaikan sebentar tadi. Semoga ia dapat dihayati dan dijadikan panduan dalam meningkatkan produktiviti kerja ke arah cemerlangan. Untuk penilaian pembentangan, pihak peserta sedang cuba untuk dapatkan slide untuk QR code kepada semua SUB dan KU. Ketua unit tentara perempuan boleh scan pada skrin yang ada QR code untuk orang penilaian peserta. Okey.
Dah hadir ke kalau isi?
Okey, boleh terus lihat di layar untuk skrin ya. Untuk scan borang penilaian melalui QR code yang dipaparkan pada skrin.
Dia seorang-seorang.
Setiap orang satu QR code.
Itu macam ni.
Scan mungkin kat sini ada ni. Ambil kat sini ada. Dekat setiap belakang setiap ni ada.
Tentara perempuan yang jadi panel boleh lihat di chat ni juga. Di ruangan chat ni. Kita letakkan
scan from that
QR code
that slide tu kan. Dapat jangan
buat penilaian kepada 6 orang pembentang.
Masing-masing nilai lah. kawan-kawan you. Apa salahnya nilai? See ya, you should after this you should, since you all know each other, ask lah, what do you think is what can I improve? And maybe your friends are more tapi jangan kecil hati lah. Kalau baik saya bagi tahu yang sebenar kan. Kalau kata semua telah membuat pembentangan dengan amat baik, cemerlang sekali, tapi dia ada tapi lagi. Kata cemerlang tak ada tapi lagi lah. Faham? So kadang-kadang it's good to hear you out, to hear, I mean, other your friends commenting you lah. What do you think about you? I mean, in terms of the content. So so you must get people attracted to what you say lah. And this only can come through experience. Itulah, kalau kita adakan wujudkan banyak peluang untuk anda semua, kita ambil budak-budak sekolah pun lentong lah. Tapi dia membantu membina keyakinan diri itu. Di sekolah menengah cakap, nobody knows your area better than you. You should know it.
Betul cakap, macam di EU, kita banyak universiti datang. Jadi kita train, kita tahu. You're 41, 44, okay, you bagi talk kepada student.
Exposure lah for
the exposure to the officer.
Sekolah okey. Kita pun boleh juga. Di
lah,
sekolah Putrajaya ni hantar.
Ya, nak betul kan? Sharing.
Cara dia macam tu. Lama-lama jadi biasa lah. Kan? Saya selalu share sampai lama-lama dah biasa lah. Kan? Kalau kita, jadi bagus juga. Orang
Ambil
kalangan dia lah.
kalangan dia.
Tapi boleh juga.
Boleh.
Kenapa pegawai junior tak boleh share? Tengoklah Mat Saleh semua. Baru umur 26 tahun. Chair meeting and then they are CEO, 30 years old CEO. Why? Because their learning curve is like this. Our learning curve is like very, very long bentuk diri kita. Kenapa dia 30 tahun CEO, kira sini 30 tahun CEO, dia ni muda lagi. Dia nak naikkan jusa, muda lagi, baru suri, baru 5 tahun. Datang macam tu lah. Yang senior pun tak dapat. But that is how our culture is like that lah. Orang tua-tua kena naik dulu kan. Orang senior.
Orang senior.
Sebab dia tak